Good evening, East Tennessee. Let's go ahead and get started. Clearly, we've had some very active weather in the last hour or so across the plateau. We're looking at Clark Range. We're looking at southern Fentress County, currently under a tornado warning until 7:15 Central Time. Of course, they're 1 hour behind us. Our clock at the top, or just under the banner where it says Ultimate Doppler, is 7:58. So if it seems a bit odd, it's because they're in Central Time and it's moving into Eastern Time, as it will be expanding now into parts of Morgan County. But the latest update from the National Weather Service in Morristown, and of course with Nashville in tandem, because they do coordinate. We have southeastern Overton County. That's kind of out of our reach, but north central Cumberland County is under a tornado warning. That includes parts of Cumberland County north of Crossville. East central Putnam County still under a tornado warning until 7:15 Central Time, and southwestern Fentress in Middle Tennessee until 7:15 Central. So if you're in the sound of my voice and you're in that little red area that's flashing, this would be the time that you would need or want to be in a safe space. Away from windows, basement would be preferred. If you don't have a basement, maybe a bathroom or some place that's interior, away from windows because of the concern. And they did point out, the Weather Service, that a tornado and quarter-size hail was possible. Radar indicated rotation, but it's one of those things where you don't need proof. We don't want you running outside and say, I think I see it. Be safe and be smart about it. Flying debris, as they note in their warning, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes are seriously going to be damaged and destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows can be expected. Damage to vehicles will occur, and the tree damage is likely. So this tornadic thunderstorm will remain mainly over rural areas of over southeastern Overton, north central Cumberland, east central Putnam, and southwestern Fentress County, including the following locations of Crawford, Grimsley, and Clark Range. So we couldn't be any more clear. These are the areas. And I know the tendency or the temptation is, well, what about me, boss? What about me? What about me? Hey, what about me? Every little town that you see in yellow, which includes Knox County, we're under a severe thunderstorm watch till midnight. Doesn't mean that we're going to get this particular storm, but I'm highlighting the towns, as you could see there in the blue box. Let me just kind of shake it around so you know what I'm talking about. These are in Central Time as they move into Eastern Time, because I'm looking at Jonesville at 7:05, Roslyn at 7:07. That would be in Central Time. But suddenly, magically, we get to Atkins Mill. It's 8:12 Eastern. You see what they're doing there. So the computer has a smart way of knowing geographically where the Central and the Eastern Time divide. So if you're in High Point, 8:16 could be the time where you might be damaged with this particular storm. Doesn't have to be a tornado. Doesn't have to be a tornado to cause damage. It could be just a strong thunderstorm with the potential that it could do a number on your trees, your cars, your roofs, your windows. So just play safe. That's all I want you to do. Just be safe, be smart about it. You have a few more minutes. Looks like you've got another 14 minutes left on this flashing red area, and we'll see how it goes. I believe the one that's in Morgan County, Morgan County runs till 8:30. That, of course, is in Eastern Time. So anytime you have tornado warnings that kind of bridge the two time zones, it can be confusing. I get that. But we can figure this out. This isn't that hard. And you can see the computer does it for us. So you can see Holland Ford, 8:16. You want to be in your safe space. Frankfort, 8:20. Possible tornado knocking on your door. And even if it's not a tornado, wouldn't you like to know about it, that it could do some damage? It could rip her off a shingle or two. That's what we want to make sure you're aware of. Glades and Lavender, 8:20 and 8:21. If you're on the call, we'd love to say hi to you. Well, we got a rare live stream going on this evening. As I call up some of my information on my maps, I want to be able to select your comments and put them on the screen. That's one of the nice things about being able to do this live during severe weather. That's one of the aspects we can see. But that's one of the aspects. If you've got a comment, maybe you've got an observation, and I've got maybe, again, the notes here that will come in, hopefully, will populate accordingly. But that's what I have from Facebook. And I'm also on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, we're doing a like dual stream, I guess. But the comments that you leave on YouTube should also populate on my map, hopefully here in just a few moments. But if you've got a comment, I do see Angel White. There it is. What about me, boss? What about 10 Mile? I don't care about anybody else. I just want to know about 10 Mile. No, I'm joking, Angel. But know that there is going to be the potential for everybody in yellow for a severe thunderstorm tonight. I posted on the public site. I said I think the window was 8:30. It's not quite 8:30 yet in the Knoxville area, but I thought 8:30 to midnight or 8:30 to 1 a.m. would be a prime time for this to occur. Clearly, for those who are in the central time zone, it starts early, and it's only 8:03 Eastern, so we probably got another couple of minutes before it starts to impact more of our East Tennessee counties that are closer to Knoxville. So it's all bridging from west to east as the energy is sliding from west to east. Marilyn Bell is on here. She is pointing out, she's got a comment here. She said, thanks for this update. Hope it slows down and dies away. We're going to look at dew points in a moment. I know that sounds like that's a big yawn. Oh, he's going to talk about dew points, honey. Gather around. No, that's actually the fuel. And the higher the dew point, and this type of atmosphere, it may actually play a role in whether it's strong or weak by the time it gets to your town in Tazewell, Maynardville, Fountain City, Seymour, or Farragut. And it's not a sure thing that it does make it to Tazewell, Maynardville, Fountain City, or Farragut, or Seymour. But we're going to look at the future 2-hour radar here in just a moment. But thank you for that update. Cray Slavin, I love hearing from his comments because he's in Putnam County. He's in Putnam County. He's experienced this first. So, Cray, what do you see? He says, good evening, Captain. Wind damage in northern Putnam, but it missed Cookeville. Okay, so it affected part of your county, but not the whole county. Who's to decide who gets what? That's just kind of the luck of the draw, right? Why did his house get hit and mine didn't? That's a question you could sit there and pull your hair out. But in Cray's observation, he said there was wind damage in northern Putnam, but it missed Cookeville. You see what I mean? So it's one of those situations that, do you want to risk it? I mean, if you have the potential to get into a safe space, if you're flashing red, probably best to be safe and take it easy. Hallie Gibson, she's actually one of my premium members, and we like to refer to her as the snow commissioner because she loves winter weather. So she's probably all out of sorts on a night like tonight because it's springtime in February. What's going on? It's February 6th, y'all. Anyway, thanks for keeping us updated, she writes. Love her smiling face there. And I see Angel asking if hope it's not bad for 10 Mile. Yeah, I'm not clairvoyant, Angel, but I do show you the future radar here, and you may be pleased to see that it's not headed toward you. It may be very well headed due east from where it is at the moment. And where is it right now at the moment? It looks like it's in the Clark Range area and around Frankfort at this particular time. Let me see if I could put this on. Yeah, I want to see if I can come back on camera here. So I'm in night mode. You know what night mode looks like? I turned off most of the lights. So I'm here, but I'm just kind of in that night mode so that I can think that I'm going to be going to sleep soon, but I'm not really. I'm actually here to serve you. That's the cool thing. So anyway, as we look at Angel's comment, we hope that it's not bad for anybody, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Going back to the radar, I'm going to kind of grab this mouse and do some little clicking here, but just to give you some perspective, if we were to do a check, and I'm going to take off the track because I think we all know right now which track that is. We'll just X that out. But we have a tornado warning. These are tornado warnings. They're similar colors. The tornado's red, flash flood warnings are burgundy. But you have a tornado warning till 8:30 for parts of Morgan County, west of Wartburg. It appears it includes Sunbright and 27. But if you're in Cumberland County, you have only a few more minutes. It looks like 9 more minutes left, because that's 7:15 Central or 8:15 Eastern for parts of Cumberland County. If you're not really sure, if you're in that area, looks like the worst is past Grimsley now, and it looks like some of the intense rain or the darker reds are from Roslyn to Glades to Sunbright and Atkins Mill. So those are the hot spots it would appear right now. But if we go back to the home view, I mean, there's not a whole lot. There's more in southeast Kentucky. We've got another tornado warning up here. We don't cover that as much, but they matter too. And you can see east of Barberville, they're under a tornado warning for Bell County, and it would appear that that's until 8:15, as well as Knox County, Kentucky. So if you have some kind of app, and I hope you have my free one with Pete Michaels Traffic, the Captain Accurate Weather app with Pete Michaels Traffic, Knox County is referring to Kentucky here. So this is where that is at the moment. That runs till 8:15 as well. But if you're in Knoxville and you're like, ho-hum, what's going on? What should I pay attention to? Just know that we have a favorable condition for something to develop. I like to refer to the watch as a preheated oven. I love a preheated oven if I'm going to bake some cookies, but I can't guarantee the cookies are going to bake. I got to put them in the oven. You know what I mean? So we have the environment. We have what would appear to be an atmosphere that's conducive for additional development. But the bigger question is, as I pull on my Tennessee orange, we got a Tennessee orange. See this little thing over here? Where is this going to go? That's the question. And for those of you that aren't really engaged because you don't live in that flashing red area, maybe not yet because it's moving east about 35 miles per hour, let's just for argument's sake, let's try and figure out where that thing is going. So let's go over to our future radar. We have that. Do we have that? I think we have. Oh, let's see if this changes. It did change. Oh, look at that. That's the future radar. But where's it going to go? Let's go through a time machine. Doodaloo, doodaloo. Oh, it's headed toward Maynardville. If I'm not mistaken, it might work its way north of Morristown. And there's a line just north of Jellicoe that might move just north of Kyles Ford. So there are two areas of interest from yours truly. I would suspect that what's happening now west of Wartburg could work its way to Union County and eventually Granger and Hamlin County. Does that help? What about 10 Mile? Well, you tell me. Is it coming to you? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the big yellow paint bomb that is the thunderstorm watch was overkill. Maybe they've expanded in too many areas. Because once this passes in the next 2 hours, that would take us to what? 10:09? 10:09, that's where this would be. I can pause it. How do you know it's 10:09? Let's just pause it right there. Yeah, the 10:09, this is where the storm might be at that time. So if I go back to my Tennessee pencil, I can see it's going to be over here. And 10 Mile would not be affected in that case, right? And there's also a little storm system just north of Kyles Ford. So there's two blobs in red that are headed to the east. And it may hold its characteristics. It may stay just as strong as it is now, or it could weaken. And there might be some indications as to why that would be just by looking at temperatures and dew points. Because again, these things behave, they act accordingly. You need warm air, and suddenly we have like spring weather, severe weather at the early part of February. I know it's weird. But currently, it is 65 degrees in Knoxville, and we have a crazy dew point of 60. And where you see dew points in the 60s, temperature at which water vapor condenses, it's going to be stickier than it is in Newport, where it's 58, or where it's 59 in Newport, in Morristown. Greenville's 57. So it may very well, as the Storm Prediction Center predicted, that by the time it got to the Smokies, by the time it got to the mountains, it could weaken with, there'd be probably less instability. We'd have something more stable as it moved toward the higher terrain. But that's not a guarantee. It's just something observationally we can suspect from looking at this map. Now, we've had gusts of 36 miles an hour earlier today. Yours truly was calling for 35 plus. You can't get any more 35 plus than 36, but that's what we had. A peak gust of 36 miles per hour at McGee-Tyson. Currently have a southwest wind at 17, as we'll be going back to the radar here momentarily. But I thought it was important to note that there are other elements that are working into this equation. Here's another view, kind of a broad view. Shows you a time lapse. Looked like it came down from Bowling Green, didn't it? Paducah, Bowling Green, around the 5 o'clock drive. And now it's coming here. It's coming for an East Tennessee vacation, maybe. It's going to come in, and then hopefully it's going to get out of here. So I don't think necessarily, I don't think that the severe thunderstorm watch will carry on to midnight, but I think they've cast a big net just to be safe. If they have to expire it early, like at 11 or 10:30, so be it. But that's the Storm Prediction Center and the Weather Service's call, not mine. And if you're curious, what about storm energy? Well, who's talking about that? I am. Look, you see the front? You see those yellow areas? That suggests weak storm energy. That's where you can find thunderstorms popping. But when it turns red, it becomes strong, and if it goes purple to white, it's extreme. It's not an extreme event tonight, but there's enough yellow paint bomb at 10:30 that everybody's fair game for some thunder. Question is it going to be severe? 11:45, it's a little more yellow in Tellico Plains and Madisonville, maybe a little more yellow north of Rogersville. But by the time we hit midnight, it's beginning to work its way out. And I think we're going to see this come to a quick end, and then we'll be on to the day tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, because I don't know if I'll have time to get back to it a little later, if you haven't heard, what's the expectation? My expectation for the forecast, while we did hit 70 today, my expectation is that we will be running toward the low 60s tomorrow with hazy sun and clouds. So as we animate this, I have quite a few middle of the night storms. Right, we got some tonight. Got another Saturday night that'll be interesting. Not necessarily severe, but still unsettled with more rain. And Saturday could be near record heat. I mean, the record high from 1937 is 75. And then we've got some heavier rains on the second half of Tuesday. Not necessarily flooding, but we got to be watching that potential going into mid to next week, mid to, say, Tuesday to Thursday. heavy rain in the morning where we could find well over, based on some of the data today, well over 1, 2, or even 3 inches. And that would be helpful because we're still under a drought. Any questions, let me know. I'm going to go back to the radar. I think that's more important than me talking about the next 7 days. So here we are, the future radar. If you're just joining us, this is where the blob is. You called it a blob. That's not meteorological. I mean, I could say that, you know, burr is not a meteorological term, but everybody understands that in winter. It's burr, it's cold. But this big blob, paint blob of red, looks like it's headed toward Morristown, Maynardville. That's where it's headed in the next 2 hours. And maybe it's a little faster than this expectation, because I have observed that this model, while it's great on track, it tends to move faster than even this time stamp would suggest. So we're not done with the rain. We're not done with the storms. That's the way things are shaping up over the next 2 hours. Let's get back to the actual radar and see if we're getting it. Now we're 1 minute away. I like how you timed that. That was brilliant, Aldridge. 8:14. You said this thing would end it at 7:15, or yeah, I guess it's half of this tornado warning will be expiring in 60 seconds or less, because the 7:15 Central is in fact 8:15 Eastern. And my timestamp says 8:14. So half of this tornado warning is likely to go bye-bye. But we're still focused on just west of Wartburg. Northern Morgan County has a reason to be concerned, and that's a good time to be in your safe space. So if you're just joining us and we pull out the wonderful Tennessee orange pencil, yeah, I had made sure that it was exactly Tennessee orange, that we would go in this direction. So I'm going to circle this area right here. These are the areas that need to watch. And maybe it comes in with a whimper. Right? We looked at dew points, we looked at winds. These things sometimes can weaken as they move east of the plateau. There's no big surprise there. But 7:15, I believe we're just about on the doorstep. It is now 8:15 Eastern. It's probably going to take any less few minutes unless they decide to extend it, but it looks like the heavier rains, there it is. Bye-bye. Gone. Yay. Fentress County, it looks like you're okay now, right? It's come out of the safe space. Come out of the safe space, because Fentress County has now emerged. Now, that's not to say you haven't had damage in Grimsley along 127. Maybe you have. We heard from Cray Slavin that northern parts of Putnam County had some wind damage, but not Cookeville. Right now, our big concern would seemingly be Sunbright, Deer Lodge, and Glades. Let me get an update from the Weather Service, because now this has been, the torch has now been passed from the Nashville office, Weather Service, to Morristown, because Morgan County is Morristown jurisdiction, Fentress County is Nashville's jurisdiction. This tornado warning at 7:53, which would have been a few minutes ago, put northwestern Morgan County until 8:30. Let's be clear, this is until 8:30. Clearly the Deer Lodge area along, say, maybe Sunbright 27, the potential that there could be some tornadic activity that could be occurring at this particular time. Let's take a look at maybe some velocity. Yeah, we've got some interesting little colors here. As I'm going to take this other picture off so we can declutter the map, as it were. And when we do the pixel query, where we see some bright color. Yeah, 84 miles an hour, that would do some damage. That would be damage worthy. And this is why the Weather Service has a tornado warning. So if you're within the sound of my voice in Deer Lodge, Sunbright, I hope you're in a safe spot. Safe spot means basement. I don't have a basement. Basement's preferred, but if you have an interior room that's away from windows, that would be probably more ideal. Howard Mill around 76 miles an hour. Now, is this precisely that wind speed? It's estimated. It's a pretty good guesstimate of what's happening right now. But if you go over toward, was it Petros or Fork Mountain, it's maybe close. It's picking up. The winds are increasing around Lone Mountain or Hembry. But the nastiest of winds right now are, in fact, moving into that flashing box at this time. You've got a comment. I want to hear from you. Stephanie Wise is on here. She says, glad for any rain to help with the drought. Rain is nice. Damaging winds, not so nice. Not so nice. I got a note from Cray Slavin. Lots of power outages in North Putnam and southern Jackson, Overton County, which is the two bordering counties to my north. Thank you, Cray, for that update. Your updates. Cray is one of my premium members, and he is very, very good at keeping me informed of what's coming. He is, and I say this affectionately, he's the canary in the coal mine for the Knoxville area, because what happens usually in Cookeville sometimes can work its way in this direction. I got to thank you from Angel White. Thank you so much. My pleasure. And I mentioned some of you have some other comments. Let me know. I'll do my best to magnify your voice here on a Thursday night. By the way, it's 8:18. This would be a good time to thank my sponsor, Marco's Pizza. I didn't know if you know, but because this equipment and all this data has a cost associated with it, having a sponsor has become very, very essential. And I've been very thankful to have the support of all 8 local Marco's Pizzas here in town. So if you get a wild hair and you want to order a pizza, maybe not tonight, but maybe on a Friday night, they would appreciate your business. I want to thank Marco's Pizza for their support. But safety is what's really on top of mind this evening for me and for those of you who are in this flashing box. Mentioned those winds are pretty strong, and they are going to cause damage to trees, power outage. We're going to look at power outages here coming up in just a moment. As far as shear, it seems like it's very weak, but when you see that coloring there, some of those red areas would be strong, and that would be really, it looks like, to the southeast of Deer Lodge. That's not to say that's where the tornado is, but from the rotation detector. You like those 2 words? Rotation detector, honey. Gather around. It's really around the Pilot Mountain area. So I can't emphasize or underscore enough that these are the areas you got to wait for it to pass. And you still have some time left because that tornado warning will last another 11 minutes. Now, does that mean Elizabeth and Wartburg should be on deck? They need to be certainly aware. If you're in Elizabeth, Wartburg, you could be next. And we've already assessed, we already looked at the future radar. It could be headed toward Norris and Maynardville before it works its way towards, say, Morristown. That's assuming that this storm system maintains its characteristics. I'm going to stick with it and stay with it as long as I can. I'm going to see a little bit of hail, not a whole lot. The hail tracker, if we go back maybe 30 minutes, was it better or worse? Not a whole lot of hail here. They mentioned quarter-size hail was possible, and where I see pink between Burrville and Glades, there's the word Burr, that would be between northern parts of Morgan County. That's what we see over the last 30 minutes or so. So the hail tracker, not that impressive, but it's possible that you get some hail. It's really the downpours and the wind damage that is potentially there. And oh, we got a new one. Oh, you knew it would happen. Let's just see. Do we have a? Yeah, we're going to take a look at the new one. This is a extension of the same storm. This is a new tornado warning for Morgan County that includes Petros, Winrock, Oliver Springs, and Oak Ridge proper. That means Secret City, you are under a tornado warning for the next couple of minutes till 8:45, I believe. Yep, 8:45 Anderson County, Petros, Wartburg, Elizabeth, all till 8:45, which means the Sunbright version of this will likely fade in the next, we'll say 9 minutes. 9 minutes from now, based on the track here, this will likely go bye-bye for Sunbright. But the damage is probably happening right now. Torrential rain, small evidence of hail, but damaging wind are certainly possible. When I'm seeing 84s and 76-mile-an-hour potential wind speeds aloft, it doesn't take much for it to come down to the surface. This does not include Dearmont. Let me be clear. It does not include Oakdale, but you're still under a severe thunderstorm watch. But it would be prudent of me just to underscore that the trajectory of this seemingly is headed toward Oak Ridge, but could it head toward Maynardville as well? It's interesting to see because, again, this isn't like a 3-day forecast. This is like a 30-minute forecast. Is this going to be headed toward Clinton and then skip a beat to Morristown, or is it going to come to Knoxville? It might be like a 7-10 split. It might actually split between Oak Ridge and Maynardville. But we've now seen an expiration of part of that warning. Sunbright's still included, but it looks like, what, 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago? Let me scrub it backwards. Was it? Yep, there was a little box, and now it's gone. So between 8:21 and 8:22, they've decided to erase some of that tornado warning. But what is brand new is the tornado warning for Morgan County and Anderson County. Let me get the verbiage, the language here on the Captain Accurate Weather app so you can follow along, and I really hope that you have this tool on hand. It is free, but if you decide or you're sold on something else, I hope that you get the information in a timely manner. This is a tornado warning for central Morgan County in East Tennessee. It was issued at 8:19. That was 3 minutes ago. It includes southwestern Anderson. It includes northeastern Roane. My goodness, I'm glad you mentioned Roane. Yeah, northeastern Roane's included, as is south central Scott. So I want to give the love and mention and the recognition to south central Scott and northeastern Roane, you are also under this tornado warning until 8:45. 8:45, and the severe thunderstorm was capable, it says, of producing a tornado located 7 miles northwest of Wartburg, and it was moving at 55 miles per hour. Now that's interesting to me, because when we were looking at the one in Clark Range, it was moving at 35, but suddenly somebody put a pedal to the metal. This thing's jumped up 20 miles an hour faster. That was moving at 35, now it's moving at 55. Is it slowing down? No, it's speeding up. This storm is speeding up, and it's bringing with it some nasty, damaging winds. And again, it is prudent to follow the advice of the Weather Service in this regard. You're under a tornado warning. This is the time to get into your safe space. It can be a place that some people are, should I put on a bicycle helmet? If you think it'll help, yes. Because when you got flying debris, everybody has a different structure. If you're living in a, if you're living in a mobile home, you want to get out of that mobile home. You don't want to just, I'm going to go to the pickup truck. No, you want to get to a safe shelter that's sturdy, something that might be made of bricks. You don't want to be in a mobile home if you're in the path of this storm. And some people find themselves caught. They find themselves stuck. And that's why I want to be encouraging to you that if you know somebody who lives in a mobile home, invite them over for coffee when you see something like this coming down the pike. Have them come over for dessert. Say, hey, come on over to our house until this passes. And you say, well, that might be a little too late if you're in Sunbright. Yes, but it's not too late if you're in Oak Ridge. If you're in a mobile home and you're in the Oak Ridge area, this would be a time to actually get into your safe space. And did you see what I see? Do you see what I see? It's turned purple. This is one of the newer products that the National Weather Service has been now using for a little more than a year. Confirmed. See that? Confirmed. That means they have an actual tornado that they have belief is happening. It's not hyperbole. It's not a suspect. It's not a radar by rotation by radar. It's an actual confirmation that there's a tornado here, and that elevates it to some degree because some people are like, well, now if it's real, then I'll get in my safe space. No. Get in your safe space anyway. Be responsible. Take this thing seriously. The Weather Service obviously has now issued this confirmed tornado warning until 8:45. It's one of these situations that you don't want to put your life in harm's way. It's not worth it. Every day's a gift. I say that all the time, but you don't want to tempt fate and say, oh, I'm just going to go out and take pictures. Please don't. Just get into the safe space. If you're in this flashing area, it's very important that you take the necessary precautions. Now, this latest update came down 60 seconds ago at 8:24. Flashing on this screen, as you can see, we now have at this time 8:25. This said this was confirmed and located near Wartburg. So we're going to come into this area here, and they're saying this thing is moving at 40 miles an hour. So we heard earlier it was 55. Now they're doing some reassessments with each volume scan that this thing is moving at, say, actually moving at 40 miles an hour, and it is actually located near Wartburg. So if I take a Wartburg trajectory and move this to, which way are we going? We're going east at 40. So we're going to go follow this little polygon and move it 40 miles an hour in this direction, which is right there. So all the towns on alert, or should be, are on the screen here. And that would be Liberty, 8:30. This is not a time to mess around. If you're in Liberty, please get into a safe space. Yeah, we want you to be safe. It's just not worth it. Don't be a hero. Don't think, I get this picture on social media, I'll make some big bucks. Please don't. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. And it's nighttime. You're not going to get anything you'll have better pictures of the damage after. But I'd rather you be safe in a safe space. Stevens, 8:39. You don't have much time. That is also your time there on Petros, 8:39, before a confirmed tornado is knocking on the door. Fork Mountain, 8:41. Coalfield, 8:42. Tioga, 8:42. Orchard View, 8:47. So if you are, in fact, in the path of this storm, please get into your safe space. It is the fact that this has turned purple. If you're not familiar, I mean, it used to be red, but the confirmed tornado part of this warning was issued at 8:24, which was now 3 minutes ago. They said the confirmed tornado is located near Wartburg, moving east at 40. Flying debris will continue to be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is, in fact, likely, and they were expecting this to be near Wartburg around 8:30. So you got 2 minutes. That's not much time. This is a situation that is to be taken seriously. Now, can we get a little more intel? We could take a look. I'm not going to change the camera angle because I think it's important people that have the orientation. But if you look, some of these winds, 90, 75, and if they're rotating, which we now have confirmation that it is, this is to be taken seriously. It may seem like it's weak, but I can assure you, where you see some of those green areas from Oak Hill arching back to Wartburg, there could be flying debris at this time. It's very important that you take this seriously. Another way to look at this is the hail. We looked at that, but this is just one of those things where what we see moving toward the radar and what's moving away. What's green is moving toward, and where you see those things, something like a couplet, you're going to begin to see some rotation. Very important that if you're in Wartburg, that you be in a safe space here in the next 2 minutes. 8:30 is the verbiage, the wording the Weather Service is utilizing. They also said other locations that will be impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Coalfield, Rosedale, Frozen Head State Park. What a beautiful park. We love taking our family there. Frozen Head State Park is in the crosshairs, as is Petros and Sunbright. So again, this might have been written a few minutes ago, but now we've got the bright green and also some of the reds here. So we've got the potential for something nasty that's happening right now as I speak in this particular area right in here. So this is why I'm most concerned, and the Weather Service wants you to take it seriously. Are we on the same page? I hope we are. Don't be a hero. What else can I say? I want everybody to stay safe. If you overlay the lightning, there's been obviously, 5,500 lightning strikes, unreal. So you've got a lightning show, you've got rotating winds, you've got a tornado that's been confirmed. It's not theory. It's not, well, we'll wait till tomorrow. Yeah, they've already got confirmation. There's enough boots on the ground, weather spotters that are trained, Skywarn, you name it. The Weather Service has got, they've got eyes, and they've got cameras, and they've got all the rest. So this is not one of those things that you have to venture out if you're in Wartburg. I just want to make sure Wartburg, and what a beautiful town it is. I did a spotlight on Wartburg a couple years ago, and I love the community. And it's one of those things that damage may actually occur in the Wartburg area, and we want you to be safe. If I go back and do this track again, because we mentioned it was moving at 40 around Wartburg, go ahead and move that to about 40. So the new town's here. It's happening in Wartburg right now. How do you know? Because look at it. It says now right there in my blue box. Liberty, in about 5 minutes, you have to prepare. Union, 8:40. Stevens, 8:43. Petros, 8:43. Fork Mountain at 8:45. Coalfield at 8:47. If you've got a comment, let me know. I'm still in the dark mode here. When I say dark mode, I mean like I'm still in the dark mode because I want you to take this seriously. It's less about me and more about what you have to do to stay safe. That's why I am doing this on a Thursday night. It's 8:31. I got Lee on here. Lee says winds are picking up in Morristown. Thank you for that, Lee. Denise says winds are picking up in Lenore City. I would imagine that is the case. And Melissa Mumpower has a note. She says she's loving this tracking towards Talbot. I'm in a mobile home. So, Melissa, you are a great, if I may use you as an example, if you know that you live in a mobile manufactured home, and there are different degrees, modulars and all the rest, single wide, double wide, but it's just not safe because winds will ravage mobile homes. And it's just a good idea to find an alternative place to go. Diane Ladyhawk, dear friend and also very supportive. She says, thank you for all you do, David. My pleasure. And I mentioned Stephanie McDaniel Wise, mentioning that any rain we get can help the drought. It certainly can, but we want to make sure that people are safe until this passes. It's amazing when you have these types of events, and you'll notice it's not doing much in Huntsville. It's not doing much in Mascot right now. There's not much in Rocky Hill, or even Clinton for that matter. But it's headed in the similar direction as it moves east at 40 miles an hour. There will be new towns that might be added. And it looks like the Oak Ridge area, maybe they might have reduced the box. Do I see that correctly? The flashing purple does not appear to cover Oak Ridge anymore. Did they decide to shorten the box? There's one way to find out. Let me take the lightning off because it gets a little cluttered. And now that we have the towns, again, these are the towns that need to be aware of what's headed their way. Is it my imagination, or did Oak Ridge, okay, there it is. So it's still in Oak Ridge, but once you zoom in a little bit tighter, it includes Oak Ridge, but not Laurel. It includes Oak Ridge, but not Dossett, and it includes Oak Hill Estates, but not Heartland Estates. It's just kind of like where you live could dictate or depend on whether or not you're in the warned area. But sometimes with these boxes, they do make calculations that are very precise that they feel like this is the best warned area. Does that make sense? So we got Anderson County till 8:45. The time right now is 8:33. And if you're thinking, I live in Knoxville, should I be concerned? Well, it depends on if this thing's going to move. Let's just use our own intuition here. Let's rewind the tape an hour. Tell me which way this storm's going in your view. Is it going to come down to Carnes? Is it going to come down to Clinton? It's possible. It's certainly on the table. Will it make it to Knoxville? Or will it kind of move toward Norris and then take a hard left turn up 11W? We'll have to wait and see. But right now, all I can focus on is where it is at the moment. And it's been doing quite a number on the Wartburg area and areas just north of Petros and Fork Mountain. Heavy torrential rain. In fact, if we did just a check of the accumulating rain in the last 6 hours, this is probably going to be interesting to see because, yeah, over ½ inch in some spots, over ½ inch. So maybe not 0.71. So there's a ½ inch to an inch may have occurred already, and there's obviously more falling at the moment. But that's one of the tools that we can look at this time. The shear, this is our rotation detector, right? If we did a little track on this over the last 30 minutes, you can see where things have been and where they seemingly are going. So the instability at one time was red, which was strong, just around Sunbright, or south of it. And now just north of Oak Hill, just north of Petros, it appears that some of that shear or rotation is maybe perhaps weakening. But we're not out of the woods, and we won't really know to the light of day of just how damage or the extent of the damage that's occurred. One of the other tools that we have at our disposal, as we go back to the radar, is the power outages. Some of us had power loss in the Putnam County area. I do remember hearing that. Let me go back here to the power outages. County total, let's see here, and we'll go back and zoom back out. So yeah, there's quite a few, and I've got too many things. I'm going to take the warning off for a second. So right now, most of the power outages are in Cumberland County with about 1,000, Cookeville about 900, Jamestown about 100. So there's several thousand people right now without power. Somerset, Kentucky, they've got about 500 without and 300 in what appears to be Knox County, Kentucky. Asheville might have had some of it, but this will grow. There's no doubt the power outages situation will in fact grow as this storm system continues to wreak havoc on those areas that it's located in now. Go back to the current map, and again, we have this tornado warning. If you're just joining us, the confirmed tornado, they're saying in Roane and Morgan, so it's all one system, but because the fact that this was detected and confirmed on the ground, they issued this as a purple flashing polygon. If you've got a comment, I do have another severe thunderstorm warning to talk about. It's up in Campbell County, just south of Jellicoe. That was the second blob, as I called it. Looked like it wanted to head toward Kyles Ford in the coming hours. 2 hours, I think, is what we did a little check. But as I go back to my Captain Accurate weather app and refresh it so that I can get the most recent information at my fingertips, I can see that the new severe thunderstorm warning covers western Claiborne County, northeastern Campbell County, and northeastern Union County until 9:15. So that is consistent with what this would suggest here from the computer. So this area here, south of Jellicoe, it's actually a severe thunderstorm near Lott, L-O-T, or 11 miles north of La Follette, and it's moving east at 45. So if we do a track on this particular storm that's east of 45, it would put you in this particular direction, and I'm following the contours of their box, their polygon. These towns, like Speedwell and Russell Mill, are in the hairs of a severe thunderstorm warning. So you say, well, it's not a tornado warning. Well, it may not get all the press, but it still can do damage, take out your power. This will last. This was at 8:29, was near Lott or near La Follette by 11 miles. Moving east at 45, they have 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and hail damage to vehicles is expected. So perhaps, if we take a look at the hail scenario, maybe perhaps we'll see more of it here. The hail tracker, oh yeah, there's definitely more hail associated with the one in Campbell County. Can you see all that pink? That's the pink that's associated with hail, and they're talking that this could be the size of George Washington quarter. It looks like it's extended now from Jellicoe to Newcomb, just south of Clearfield, and Holton. Some areas that have had some hail, the hail tracker showing this maybe over the last 30 minutes. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, it's been coming down. And so it's going to have a history of hail for those of you who are in the path of this particular storm. I'm going to zoom back out and just select the radar picture. As you can see here, two storms we're watching. Clearly the one that we've been spending our bulk of the time has been the tornado warning, but this one that you see south of Jellicoe is a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15. So you have a little more than a half hour on this one. Going back to this tornado warning, if you are in the sound of my voice and you're just north of Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs, this would be a good time to hunker down. This would be a great time to get into your safe space. If you have an interior room, some place that you can go to get away from windows, that would be key. But with this tornado warning, this again going back to the updates that are coming by way of the app through the Weather Service. That way we can have this updated here. This suggests now at 8:32, which was now what, 8:32, yeah, a few minutes ago, because it's 8:39. They have this moving at 55 miles per hour, and now they're expecting it to be around Oliver Springs at 8:40. So you got about 60 seconds, Oliver Springs. That's not a whole lot of time. But they were saying that this potentially was moving at 55 miles per hour. So if we just do a little check here near Oliver Springs and move it in this direction, that would put you way out here. 55 is pretty far out there. That takes it to Knoxville. And I'm just following the contours of their flashing purple polygon. That would put some new towns in the crosshairs. That would be Oliver Springs at 8:41, estimated. Say Robertsville, 8:46. And there you go. Tornado warning until 9:15. So they've added a new one. And if your phone's going off like mine, they're saying take shelter now in a basement or an interior room to the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If you are outdoors, they write, in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter immediately and protect yourself from flying debris. So we have a brand new tornado warning. This one's been extended. It looks like it's now including Clinton, which we said was a possibility. It's now including Hardin Valley. It's now including Oak Ridge. These are the spots that need to be awake and aware of their surroundings. This is just what we're going to have to work through and with here in the next few minutes. But Oak Ridge at 8:46, that time, based on their speed, is still a good time to estimate. Should be around, say, Emory Heights at 8:49. And you can see with each passing volume scan, each sweep of the radar, it's able to assess or adjust the timing with the towns on the screen. Jackson Square, many of you know from Oak Ridge, that's at 8:47. So if you're in the Jackson Square area, about 6 minutes from now, you could potentially have a tornado knocking on your door. Kind of scary, I know. And if you're in West Knox County and you suddenly lose power, you'll probably now know why. This tornado warning is not going to discriminate. Everybody in its path could potentially have damaging winds that take out power. But at this particular time, these are the times and towns on the screen that need to be most concerned at this particular time. I'm going to go ahead and take that off for a second. Hopefully you have an approximate time of when it's headed your way. And I'm going to go ahead and take off the polygon. But yeah, we have definitely, Karnes is included in this. Karnes is a very popular area in West Knox County, as is Hardin Valley. Bull Run, Clinton, Anderson County, you're all under the new warning that's been extended here as I grab my Tennessee orange pencil. So we've added a little bit more real estate in this particular area, and it will last until 9:15. The one that was in Oak Hill was to go to 8:45. So it is based on the judgment and the discretion of the National Weather Service to extend this tornado warning a little bit further out. Be thankful this is happening at 8:42 and not like 2:42 in the morning, right? Nothing's worse, some would say, than having tornadoes happen while many, many, many people are asleep. But thankfully at 8:42, unless you go to bed early or maybe you work a different shift, this is happening now. It's like we don't have much say in it, but 8:42 is when this is now taking place. And they've extended this until 9:15 for the areas that you can see. That includes Solway. It includes Karnes, Carpenter Ridge, Bull Run, High School, Clinton. These are the areas that are technically under a tornado. Not technically, you are under a tornado warning for a little more than a half hour. We'll wait and see how this plays out, but this is what we're watching at this particular time. And I'm going to put the towns back on because I want to check your comments. I just want to check your comments to see what you're seeing at this particular time. Anything new, I'll do my best to help. I got a note from Glenda. Hello, Glenda. She says, was on the way to Washburn. Hope not. Well, we'll see. Again, it's question is it going to maintain or hold its intensity? It could weaken, and if it weakens, it might be downgraded from a tornado warning to a severe thunderstorm warning. Still nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it still can lose power. You can still have damage, tree damage from severe thunderstorm warnings. But right now, it is full-fledged. It is 100% tornado warning that's in play and a possibility. I got a note from Hannah. She says, hello, what about Halls? Yeah, we can look at Halls, but right now, Fountain City, Halls, Knoxville looks like you're still under the severe thunderstorm watch. But you need to be diligent, Hannah, because things could change in the next hour or even less. Kevin Parchment says, is it headed toward Oak Ridge? It would appear, yes. Kevin, if you're in the Oak Ridge area, I believe you are, you definitely want to have a place to go if it suddenly starts sounding like a freight train outside. If you get my drift, these things can be very noisy. You kind of know just from, well, my phone got noisy because we had I'm in West Knox County, so when that warning came out, it was my phone's way of saying, hey, wake up, this is serious. This is a tornado warning, right? You're not going to get much worse than that. And the fact that the purple area is where we had a confirmed tornado. So when they do the damage surveys the day after, the Weather Service will go out typically, I imagine, with their iPad in hand, and they'll start taking measurements, and they use drones. There's all sorts of technology now to kind of scope out where the damage occurred, but it's done after the fact. They're not out there tonight tracking it by radar. Yes, now the confirmed part just disappeared because that was expected to disappear at 8:45. 8:45, so half of the flashing colors disappeared, and now we're left with the one till 9:15. So we have 30 minutes to be concerned with the flashing red that's on the screen now. Again, this is just the adjustment, and it's typical of what the Weather Service will do. They'll make some adjustments. I got a note from Sheena. Sheena Perkins wants to know about Dandridge. Jeff Brown wants to know about, I'm trying to see, it's somewhere in Tennessee. Hard to read. I don't know if you have mistyped. We are in Cedar Bluff. Beverly wants to know about Cedar Bluff. Right now it's Carnes and it's Hardin Valley, but it looks like it's just shy of Farragut. So if you're in Farragut right now, you could be quickly added in Farragut and Cedar Bluff in the next couple of minutes, because again, once we get closer to 9:15, if this thing holds together, I'm talking about the storm itself, then they may very well extend this into Fountain City, into Halls, into Mechanicsville, into Knoxville. South Knoxville? Could be. Yeah, it could be. It could work its way in the direction it's headed, maybe toward Mascot or even Seymour. Because when we looked at the future radar a few moments ago, it looked like it was moving north, and these things can change. And that's just part of the weather challenge that we have in East Tennessee. It's like tracking a marble on a dining room table, no doubt. Sometimes it can be have a mind of its own. I got Lisa Matthews Rollins going, wow. Yeah, I say double wow on that. Yeah, it's definitely. Gigi's on here. She's making a note. Thank you, David, for all you do. Thank you, Gigi. And Cray Slavin has noted a supercell, same one that came just north of Cookeville. So, yeah, you got some legs on this storm. You got dew points in the low 60s. You got temperatures in the mid 60s. You've got the rocket fuel. Like I said, it's a preheated oven. That's why everybody else that's not in this flashing red box is under a severe thunderstorm warning, a watch, excuse me. Did I mention Knoxville? Yeah, if you're just joining. Why is Knoxville yellow? It's because they're under a watch. That means conditions are favorable, and that means if you see this flashing red, and if you're not in it in Farragut, because look how close it comes to Farragut. It's like it includes maybe North Farragut, but not South Farragut. Like if you're on Kingston Pike Farragut, west or east, you're in or out of the box. You can't get too overly concerned about, oh, I'm fine, I'm on this side of the street. No, if you're even within spitting distance of Farragut, you're on the edge. Hardin Valley is squarely in the tornado warning. Solway is, Carnes is, and so on. So just want to make sure that if you have friends or family in Oak Ridge, that they stay put, would probably be my best suggestion. and certainly make sure that with Oak Ridge is under a tornado warning, so people need to stay put and find a safe place until it passes. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope it does. Let's see. So Oak Ridge. Yeah, I had some interesting people asking me, texting me the same idea. So this is, again, very important that you stay safe. Looking at Clinton, looking at Norris, difference between those two cities and basically Norris and Clinton. Some are in the box, some are not. Bryceville is not, but Clinton and Laurel Grove are. Let's just get a check. And again, I don't know if we zoomed in here, but Speedwell, Powell Valley, some areas up here who are currently under the severe thunderstorm warning till 9:15 are going to be impacted by 60-mile-an-hour gusts potentially. If we look at the velocity that we see here, one of the things we can see that they're strong, 48 here, 48 there. Some of these winds are strong, but not clearly as strong as they were further south with the tornado warning. But that's where things are. Right now, things are kind of crazy at Oak Ridge. Potentially Oliver Springs could be dealing with winds and rotation, 70 miles an hour there, 65 there. Very important that people stay hunkered down until this passes. That makes sense? I mean, I know that people are, well, what about Dandridge? What about me? What about 10 Mile? Look, I can only see where the storm is now. This was the problem and the challenge when I was on local television, because people are like, I don't want you cutting into my program. Well, if you're in the Oak Ridge, this is all you're caring about. But if you're in Pigeon Forge right now, you want to see your program. That's one of the benefits of having a live stream, is being able to give you this information if it's of interest to you, has value to you, to get it kind of like using a scalpel rather than a chainsaw. Because you can cut into programming, it kind of messes everybody's day up. But in this type of situation, people who want to know the information can live stream with us. They can join us, ask questions. That's one of the benefits of having this platform. Now I've done it now for 6 years now, so it's been a blessing, and that's what we're tracking tonight. As far as lightning is concerned, you can see 679 strikes there, and we mentioned that this is moving. I'm going to see if they actually have anything new in terms of an update. Weather Service does a good job, very good job here locally with giving us updates. And so I click on the app, and they did add some interesting information. At 8:39, which was 11 minutes ago, they said the tornado warning for southeastern Morgan, Anderson County, northwestern Knox, northeastern Roane, and southern Scott County was to last until 9:15, and they believe it was producing a tornado moving east at 40 miles an hour. So if it's moving 40 miles an hour, they want to place this about 7 miles. Let's get real specific because we can do this. This will be, I think, instructive. Let me zoom in here. They said this was, let's see, at 8:39, it was about 7 miles east of Wartburg. So our little measurement tool here, here's Wartburg. If we go east 7 miles, that would be right about here. So this is the hot spot. Let me pull on my orange pencil, and that would be right about here. So this is where they're most concerned right now, or they were concerned about 11, 12 minutes ago. But if we were to interpolate or extrapolate from that, and we just assume that this is the general area, let's just go out here and move this 40 miles an hour, that would put it toward Hardin Valley. That would be a concern for those between Carnes, home of the Beavers, and the Hardin Valley Hawks. You'd have some serious weather that's knocking on the door. These are the new towns based on that. Would put it in Oak Ridge at 9:02. 9:02, that's about 11 minutes from now. Oak Ridge, Secret City, you need to take this seriously. It's not hyperbole to say, I think it's a tornado warning. No, this is a tornado warning. And whether or not it's a tornado, you heard me say earlier in this stream, it doesn't matter if it's because a tornado when it hits your town, because it can still take out your power. It could rip off some shingles. It could damage windows and trees and all the rest. So it's less important to me whether it's declared this or that, and then the next day talk about it like a Monday morning quarterback. I'm more concerned about you being safe. That's what I'm most concerned about. And I know there are people out there who are brazen about, oh, I've been through worse. I've been through hurricanes. I've done this, that. That's great. But if this is going to be a disruptive weather tonight, that's my message. Just make sure you have a place, if you're in Hardin Valley, you're in Carnes, you're in Oak Ridge, that you're ready for the unexpected. Because if this does have the same kind of impact as it had in maybe Wartburg or back toward Clark Range, This is why it's so important that you take these types of storms seriously. I mean, what else? What choice do we have, right? We have to hunker down and be prepared for but anything with these types of systems, because they can outperform depending on, like I said, with the type of environment that we have, high dew points and a very warm temperature. A couple of notes. I was kind of moving my icons to the side so I could check in with you. Michael Hawk, good evening to you, sir. It is 8:53. Hey, gang, getting really windy here in Morristown. Maybe an anticipation of what's coming. But thank you, Michael, for that update. Let's see here. Angel, down toward 10 miles, says it's not a storm here yet. Yeah, it's kind of like we've already had damage in some parts. But it's kind of like, think of it this way. When a firefighter puts out a fire, they have that high power hose, right? You could be standing behind the firefighter. You could be standing to the left or right side of the firefighter, but only if you're in the stream, right? If you're standing in front of the firefighter and they turn on the hose, you get wet, right? This is one of the situations where if you're not in the stream, if you're not in this box, then it's not a big deal. But because it's moving, it's not static, it's constantly in flux, it's moving to the east, as they point out in the note, 40 miles an hour. Imagine you in your car moving 40 miles an hour. You're going to get down the road in an hour, right? You're going to get 40 miles down the road in precisely 60 minutes. So that's what I'm seeing anyway from some of these reports. Michael Norman in the Carnes area says, I'm all about a good storm, but not tornadoes. I think he would elect something else. Jeff Brown, now I know where you fixed the typo. I saw T-I-Z. He said T-A-Z. It's Tazewell. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, you're under, some areas in Claiborne County are under a severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-an-hour gusts till 9:15. So there's something right now, if we had a time frame that we're all working with right now, it's the 9:15 time frame. And that, again, at time is 8:54. What happens at 9:15 is the Weather Service is going to adjust. They're going to recalibrate. They're going to buffer, figure this out, and recalibrate at 9:15, because they may either extend what's there now or let everything expire, because signs of this storm either getting stronger or weaker. It's kind of like when you're at the beach, right? Either the waves are getting bigger, surf's up, or the waves are getting wimpy. And if you're there in the morning, low tide, you say, I can't even come down, I can't even get on the shore on my boogie board when the waves are small. But these waves, atmospheric waves, can produce tornadoes in this type of situation, and we're seeing the wave very, very strong at the present time. But as I mentioned, the times and towns on my screen that are most interesting to me is 9:02, Oak Ridge. That's 7 minutes from now. 7 minutes from now, Oak Ridge, Secret City could have the impact of a possible tornado. That's the key here. They did talk about a confirmation a few moments ago further west toward the Wartburg area, but flying debris. They have this at Oliver Springs at 8:45. That's passed. They had this at Oak Ridge around 8:50. That's passed. But it's kind of all, as you can see from the colors and the bright returns, a lot of this is beginning, like some of the reflectivity. This is what, think about like your stereo when you were a kid. You would turn your stereo up really loud in decibels. That's what that is, dBz. And if you had the power to have all the woofers and speakers of your desire when you were a kid playing rock and roll or country music, whatever, you just wanted to blast the neighborhood, you got 47 decibels going on right now around Oliver Springs. That's pretty high. Clinton, about 55. So if this were in terms of volume, audio, what's happening is the radar is seeing that's noisy. That's a lot of noise coming out of these storms, and they're making a lot of fuss. It's 47 decibels around Stevens, and around Dossett, about 48.5. So you could, if you're playing Alan Jackson, if you're playing Twisted Sister, you're playing country music, rock music, anything from the past, right? If you were blasting Van Halen, this is the type of volume that would pump it out. And that's what this radar is doing. Because if I look at some of these other green areas around Annandale, it's 29. It's not as loud to the radar. So you get these colors that suggest loud noise. And some of these storms are producing, in some cases, a lot of noise, and in some cases, some hail. Look at the hail tracker now, right? It's really, hail is really pronounced in Clearfield and Claiborne County. Someone was asking about Tazewell. Tazewell on this map is over here. Let me grab my Tennessee orange. There's Tazewell. So you're kind of outside of the severe thunderstorm warning right now. but Tazewell should be watching closely. This will last until 9:15, but they've had some hail, and over the last 30 minutes, it looks like it's gotten darker. The darker purples are more of the more probable, if I'm not mistaken. More probable and possibly the size of George Washington quarters or larger. So the hail that we're dealing with now is especially strong in the Speedwell, Powell Valley area. So please be extra careful. I know if you have a vehicle, I was like, get it into the garage, honey. Get it into the carport because I don't want it to get damaged, is what some of you may be thinking at this hour. You don't have a whole lot of time left before the damage of hail could be affecting you. Now, I'm going back to Hardin Valley and Claxton, Edgemoor, Solway for a reason. I'm going back to Oak Ridge, Carnes, Oliver Springs for a reason, because we have a tornado warning that continues. So being in your safe space, being in an interior room away from windows is still a smart idea. And if you want to see where this is going next, I know that each volume scan, each one of those radar sweeps, they gather more and more intel. They gather more and more information. And if we were to choose the future radar, because this is where this suggests it's going or where it is now, I'm kind of curious to see how this model, because that's all it is a possible solution. How does it appear in the next 2 hours? Is it headed to Knoxville? Looks like it's headed to Jeff City. So it's even changed its tune a little bit, but the storminess looks like it moves toward Dandridge. Did you say Dandridge? Now you got my attention. Or did you say Jefferson City? Now you got... See, if I name your town, suddenly you'll perk up. But this is going to affect everybody in a different way. For some of you, it's a nothing burger. Maybe if you're in Happy Valley, you go, I didn't get nothing. Or Maryville, you might say, it was overblown. Those weather people. No, it's just highly localized, right? You're not going to be able to discount the damage from a tornado when the light of day comes out tomorrow and they do damage. You say, oh, it was that bad. I didn't know. I shouldn't have criticized all that extra coverage, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to make you aware that everybody's experience is going to be different. Just like when you go to the beach. If you went there in the morning, they had low tide. They said this beach is not good for surfers. But if you come back at 2 in the afternoon during high tide, you're like, Calabunga, it's surf's up. I'm enjoying the waves on high tide. So in this case, the future radar takes several of these storms in the direction of Dandridge. We'll have to wait and see if that actually pans out. Let me go back, stop this, we'll go back to the actual radar, and you can see they've now extended a brand new tornado warning that includes downtown Knoxville. So this is fascinating to me, because in their estimation, in their calibration or calculation, the National Weather Service in Morristown has now a severe thunderstorm warning up to the north, but a tornado warning for downtown Knoxville. Not something you see every day, but we'll roll with it, and the same principles apply. What am I talking about? It means that if you have a safe space, if you have an interior room, please find where you can go until this passes. Well, what time should I come out? Would 9:45 be a good time? Yeah. You're not going to be there for 45 minutes. It's up to you. I'm just telling you the advice from the Weather Service is you don't want to be in the path of the storm. If you're in a mobile home and you're in the Asbury, Carter, Mascot, Kodak, Dumplin, Flat Gap area, this is the time, or Boyd's Creek, Hicks Crossing, and you're in a mobile home, this is the time for you to leave the mobile home and go find sturdy structures, something substantial until it passes. It's very important you do this. You say, well, what if I don't do it? Then you could risk being in a mobile home that's flipped. I've had some people, I remember years ago when I first got here, about a year or so, somebody who was in the areas that a tornado hit, and the trailer itself was flipping, and he was in it. So these things can happen, and you don't want to be that person. When the winds are that strong, you don't have a sturdy structure. You've got to find a place to go. It's just one of those things you got to take that into consideration. But to keep this in perspective, keep in mind the tornado warning is going to last until 9:45. So that's where things are at the moment. I'm just looking around. Friendsville, Louisville, yeah, all these areas may escape the worst of this storm if it's now headed in the direction of Kodak, Dandridge, and East Forkburg Crossroads. Sevierville is now also included, but Pigeon Forge is not. So the tornado warning is going to last another 43 minutes. That's a long time. I often wonder, and it's often debated, how much time is too much time, right? Because if you're in Oklahoma and there's a tornado away, everything's flat, right? Everything's flat. But in East Tennessee, we have hills, we have ridges, we have peaks, we have valleys, we have nooks, we have crannies. We've got everything here. And so sometimes a 20-minute lead time could be generous. But if you're in Oklahoma, flat as can be, they could see it for like an hour. It's like I could see that thing an hour away before it got to certain towns in Oklahoma. That's why it's one of those things that, do people react or do they get complacent? I want you to stay vigilant. Just stay diligent and focus on keeping you and your family safe, because that's all we could ask. We want to get everybody home. If they have to leave the home because it's mobile, just make sure that you have a place to go. Shelter, hopefully that has been rehearsed in your mind before tonight. Because nothing's worse than at 9:03 you go, oh, I don't know where to go. If you're hyperventilating, you have no idea where to go. This is one of those things in life that you should probably think about, right? We don't want to think about it, but at some point, whether it had been a Hurricane Helene, whether it had been an ice storm, a snowstorm, whatever, you should have a place to go when things get bad. In this case, we have the intel from the Weather Service that we have a tornado warning until 9:45. Let me take a look at this update, because one of the nice things about the Captain Accurate Weather app is it gives you all the information that the Weather Service is putting out, and you can have it at your fingertips. So I'm looking at the Knoxville tornado warning that was issued at 8:59. That's 5 minutes ago. And as I read this to you, keep in mind every one of those areas flashing in red are under a tornado warning and need to find a safe space now. This is at 8:58. They said a severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado near Clinton, and it was moving east at 60. So if we go in here around Clinton, Bull Run and High School, these are the areas that are technically what they're concerned about, and they have this moving east at 60 miles per hour. So I'm just going to do a general, rather than a cone, I'm just going to do a general swath here and just move this out to about 60 miles an hour. That would take us right all the way down to almost to the edge of this polygon. Wow, it's right at the edge. It takes us toward Cosby. Cosby, you're on the very edge, as is Newport, on this particular tornado warning. We haven't mentioned much about Cocke County, but over the long haul, because this is going to go to 9:45, we got 40 minutes left. These are the towns. I'm going to put them on the left side this time and keep the severe thunderstorm warning, actually it's tornado warning, there it is, till 9:45. It includes downtown Knoxville. I can zoom in. Now these little white dots are not, I repeat, not hailstones, but they're representative of towns, communities that the radar and the computer is recognizing. So we have a lot of towns that are included and quite a few in the population sector of East Tennessee. But it should be around Powell right now. Somebody was asking me about Powell, and I had indicated that Fountain City, Powell, Halls, Oak Ridge, Knoxville, they were all on the table when it was over in Wartburg. Maple View, 907. Mayview Heights, did I say that right? Mayview Heights, 907. Cherry Brook at 907, and Briarwood Estates at 908. Now, am I convinced that these are all cities? No. Many times they're just subdivisions. Sometimes it's like, you know, where Old Brown's Farm used to be. We're just giving you little towns and communities that you probably know if you're in these areas, if you're in the crosshairs. So if you're in Dante, you're in Pleasant Ridge, might be a community, subdivision, neighborhood, even just a community or intersection sometimes. Timberline Estates, 908. Should be around Cedar Crest North, 908. Doesn't give you much time, but that's what we're seeing on the Ultimate Doppler Radar presented by Marco's Pizza. I want to thank my sponsor. Again, couldn't do this without their support. And really, I couldn't do any of this without your support as you are watching this in a live stream, an extended version, as it's now 9:07. I've lost track of time. I'm not even sure what time I started, but I know it's been a while. Anyway, Cherokee Ridge, right now, tornado warning. Maple View, right now, tornado warning. Idlewood Acres, also under tornado warning. And I mentioned that if this goes the distance, and the Weather Service clearly thinks it would be headed toward Cosby and maybe just west of English Creek. So if this ends in that direction, be diligent, or at least mindful. Cosby right on the edge. That Jones Cove, some of you, Crockett'sville, you might have potentially the damaging winds associated with a tornado in the next couple of minutes, because this is going to go to 9:45 based on the update from the Weather Service. Now, because we've been so focused on Knoxville, for good reason, I do want to mention that there is a new Claiborne County severe thunderstorm warning. That goes to 9:45. Curiously, though, similarly, we had 9:15, 9:15. Now we have 9:45, 9:45. So this storm up toward Claiborne County, if I can give them some recognition, because, again, this is a storm that's going to impact them. They've had a lot more hail, it would appear, from their storm. But this is the latest update from the Weather Service as I refresh my app. This has the severe thunderstorm warning that came out at 9:02, which was 6 minutes ago. Southeastern Claiborne, southwestern Hancock, northeastern Granger until 9:45. Located near New Tazewell, 11 miles south of Middlesboro, moving east at 40. So there are some communities out here that need to be prepared for a severe thunderstorm. And they're talking about 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. I think that's easily what we've been seeing with some of the dark pink. Some of the hail tracker was really pronounced in these areas. I'm going to go back real quick here and take this off so we can declutter the map. But where this is really a concern right now is Fountain City. Heavier rain returns right now from Powell, Carpenter Ridge, Carnes. Looks like it's going to move north of Hardin Valley. Solway and Hardin Valley may be spared or dodge a bullet unless the rain that's now affecting Oak Ridge, but it's not affecting Oak Ridge Estates in the same way it is Oliver Springs. Do you see what I mean? So when you pull out the orange Tennessee pencil, you got Oak Ridge Estates here, you got Oliver Springs here. Big difference north of Oak Ridge versus south. And Carnes is getting impacted, but it would appear that Hardin Valley not so much at this particular time. So it may depend on where, how these storm systems come in and how they're impacting your community. Bigger picture shows things have quieted down quite a bit for Jamestown, which is really where we saw this develop as Cookeville and southern Fentress County. Now, more than an hour later, it's now in the heart of the valley. It's impacting Knoxville itself. I mentioned that this thing was moving east at 40, and they had this was located near New Tazewell. Let's find New Tazewell on my map. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's grab this. New Tazewell. Do we have New Tazewell on my map? I hope so. There is New Tazewell. We're just along North Broad Street, just to be clear. And so if I take this around New Tazewell, and I move east at 40, I'm going to have to continue to slide out and go 40. That's practically to the edge of this screen right on there. 37, 40. We'll stop it there. That would put the towns that are going to be impacted by 60-mile-an-hour winds on the screen on the left. That's Raven Hill at 9:20. That's Howard Quarter at 9:25. That's Fairview at 9:30. And Beans, you know where Beans is? Beans, Tennessee at 9:31. Tate Springs at 9:33. So I just wanted to give you some intel on where that storm is headed. So it's been producing quite a bit of hail. There's been no doubt from what we've seen. Look at all the coloring here. The hail tracker is turning dark purple. So it's likely that News Tazewell will have had hail reports here in the next few minutes. So make sure your vehicles, if they can make sure they're put into the garage or carport till this passes. Going back to the radar, we can transition out of the hail tracker to the radar again. And the biggest concern right now is the tornado warning that was issued just a few minutes ago. It was actually issued at 8:59, so we're 12 minutes into this new area that includes Kodak. It includes Boyd's Creek and Dandridge as well. But right now, the main show is around Fountain City. It's also back north of Carnes at the moment, but they're moving this at 60. So if we do this little track in here, and we just kind of assume and interpolate it's moving at 60 miles per hour, we're going to come out here. This is going to take us almost into North Carolina. Yep, if that track holds on. Again, it's all about the current speed that's estimated. That puts the pressure on Mechanicsville right now is being impacted for a tornado warning. You want to be in your safe space. If you see the word now next to your town, I hope you're in a safe spot. Maybe watching us from your phone, that's fine, but I don't want you outside taking pictures of what the storm is bringing. It's just not worth it. I want to keep you safe. Holston Hills, 9:14. You got 2 minutes before it's on the doorstep. Based on the 60-mile-an-hour speed that the Weather Service is believing is current, that would put it in Holston Hills at 9:14, Park City at 9:14, Children's Hospital, East Tennessee Children's Hospital at 9:14. So Imagine if you're a hospital administrator and you are under a tornado warning. I'm sure they rehearse. I hope they have the rehearsal. What do you do? What do you do with the patients? It's a very frightening experience. It causes anxiety for many, many people, and I would imagine it would for little kids. So prayers to East Tennessee Children's Hospital. You got about 60 seconds, best estimated. Should be in the Sun Sphere, Neyland Stadium, in 2 minutes. That's not much time. And again, I know this sounds weird, I'm less concerned that this is an actual tornado. If it's just damaging winds, you need to be in your safe space. We can include Sun Sphere, 9:15. Burlington, 9:15. Strawberry Plains, 9:15. Market Square, 9:15. Where are you getting these times? This is on the left side in the blue box. That's what I'm looking at. And I see Island Home Airport, 9:16. So really in the next 2 to 3 minutes, it's game on for this storm. And it's really the time to be in your safe space is now. These are heavily populated areas. This is Knoxville, y'all. This is who is being affected by this right now. And if you're watching from Maryville, the temptation, or if you're in La Follette, might be it's not that bad. It could be bad for you, but other nights it's like drawing a card from the deck. And this is the cards that we were dealt. And right now, its crosshairs is in the downtown Knoxville area. You can see Imes Nature Center has been newly added to the intel with each passing sweep, with each passing volume scan, 917 in Imes Nature Center. Hodges, 917. Ramsey at 917. Hickory, 917. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 now's. Neyland Stadium right now. Sun Sphere right now impacted by a tornado warning, where the potential of a strong thunderstorm could be rotating and could be causing a lot of heartache. Carter at 9:16, but we include Market Square, Straw Plains, Burlington, Neyland Stadium, and Knoxville proper are all under a tornado warning, and it's on the doorstep right now. I'm going to turn this off so we can take a look at what's going on and see where these radar turns. I want to check in, put this over here. So we have a time frame of 9:45 is when this is expected to go away. But if we look at the wind speeds, now this might shock you, but Knoxville proper has got winds around 73 miles an hour. Knoxville, maybe downtown, South Knoxville, 60. Park City around 49. Lonsdale, 85. Did you hear what I just said? 85 mile an hour winds, potentially estimated by the radar, around Lonsdale. So I know where that is. Yeah, I hope you do. Even around Bearden, maybe closer to 67 or 70. But right now, the concern for rotation is in the red flashing box, the red polygon. Caswell, maybe not as strong, 35. Fountain City, 10. So how could that be? Well, this is how rotating storms behave, right? You might have torrential rain in spots, hail in some spots, but when the winds are showing up in downtown Knoxville between 60 and 85, that's why I say what I say. Get in your safe space. Let this thing pass. It's not worth it. Don't be a hero. You know the rest. I want you, and I'm speaking on behalf of all those who think I've been through these storms before. Every storm's different, right? I don't care if it's a hurricane. You've been through hurricane. Every hurricane's different. Every thunderstorm, severe. Tornadoes, tornadic can yield different results, and it just is not worth putting you or those that you love in harm's way. It's not worth putting yourself in danger. And that's why I'm trying to get the attention of those who are in mobile homes downstream to find some place to go now so that you're not having to judge. And you can see that 84 has dropped down to 54, now 74. So it's going to change. It's going to keep changing. When I look at the shear itself, and I'm talking about specifically the it still suggests weak in the green areas, but where you see red, that's what's very concerning. South of Inskip, north of Lonsdale, as I pull out my pencil, one more time, the Tennessee orange right in here, this is what's showing up as strong. If you see the legend at the top of underneath the word detector, this is the strong area where we have a higher probability of rotation. And so this is where the focal point is. Now there's a lot of other areas like Mascot. It doesn't show that right now. But if I just do the last 15 minutes, where has this shear gone? It's gone increased. It was light green and then it turned red. Well, I didn't see that coming. Weather Service did. That's why I said, is your wave at the beach getting smaller or larger? Sometimes they get more intense. They come into an environment where dew points are high, and all of a sudden you get something that ramps up. And it's not ramping up because of the topography of the Smokies. It's actually ramping up because it's moving into a warm environment. We were at 70 degrees after all today, so we've had a history of warmth, and the dew points artificially high for February. I mean, it's February 6th after all. It's not what you would expect, the type of weather. Do you think we get this in March, April, May? And we may still. But now you can see some of that shear and some of the rotation is now beginning to split. It's on the two red areas. I'll come and stop it there. So you can see that Park City, Chilhowie Hills, north of Lonsdale, where we've seen some 84-mile-an-hour winds potentially. The rotation here is real. It's very, very important that you get into your safe space and let these things pass, because until they do, it can be very, very, people can be full of anxiety. And there's reasons to be anxious if you're not in a sturdy structure and if you are outside trying to drive around in a vehicle. That's not a good thing on a night like tonight if you're in the path of this storm. So I just wanted to put that out there. And again, go back to the radar. There's quite a bit of a lightning show as well, but 427 strikes just on this image. So you're getting torrential rain, a lightning show. Looks like it's past Bearden, right? I mean, it's like, how could downtown Knoxville get hit? Lonsdale will have been hit far greater than Cedar Bluff. Lonsdale and Inskip will have been hit far greater than Hardin Valley or Solway. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And again, to try and figure out why, you know, it's just not a good use of time. It's a better use of your time to figure out how can I get into a safe space, let it pass, and then come out hopefully a lot stronger, knowing that these storms, again, can do a lot of damage. It's just a matter of respecting these storms and letting them do their thing. So if you're in Boyd's Creek and Kodak, I'm not here to tell you that you're going to have the same experience Lonsdale have, but you should prepare in case you do. This, again, is a severe tornado warning that lasts until 9:45, and it's only 9:19. Only 9:19 at the moment. Clearly, there's still a lot of time for Fort Dandridge, Sevierville, and Kodak are entered into the fold. But you're under the warning because they want you to be prepared and be prepared at this time. Let me check my app here. Oftentimes, the Weather Service will do an update, and boy, did they do one. They've added a new tornado warning to the north. We've been focused on Knoxville for a good reason, but as of 9:19, 1 minute ago, how's that for timing? They said a tornado warning remains in effect till 9:45 for Knox, Jefferson, southwestern Cocke, northern Sevier County, moving east at 60 miles an hour. They believe this will be in Knoxville at 9:25. I think it's already there in some parts. It'll be around Dandridge at 9:40. So you got about 20 minutes left in Dandridge, beautiful Dandridge. Newport, Bainbury around 9:50. So if you're in Newport, you're not off the hook. You got 30 minutes, probably less. But 9:50 is the time frame the Weather Service believes it'll be in Newport, and Bainbury is 9:50, Dandridge 9:40, Knoxville, Sevierville at 9:25. So Sevierville might be a stretch because, again, there's still a lot. It has to go through Kodak and Boyd's Creek, but we'll keep an eye on that. And I can tell you, as we take a look and grab the track here, they did place this latest thing was actually near Knoxville itself, but we can kind of put a little track in here. I'm just going to do a general draw down here. They have this moving east at 60. That would take you well into North Carolina, clearly past Cosby. So the track that is favored right now would put it in the Imes Nature Center now, Marbledale at 9:23, Pleasant Grove at 9:23, Stony Point 9:25, and Underwood at 9:26. Kind of curious to know what you are seeing. I'm going to go back and check your comments if there are any new ones. Kayla wants to know, is South Knox okay now? Not just yet. We want to be mindful that, you know, it's come to this now, Kayla, that whether you're in North Oak Ridge or South Oak Ridge, you might have had a different experience. If you were in Hardin Valley versus Carnes, you could have had a different experience. So if you're in South Knoxville or South Knox County, it could vary. But you can clearly see we have a box, a flashing red polygon, as it were, that's going to last until 9:45, so you have another 20 minutes or so left to go. I got Lee on here. He says it's starting to get rough in Morristown. I imagine the winds are picking up. Laura Smith wants to know about White Pine. White Pine probably has other reasons to be concerned. I'm going to go back to, there is a new tornado warning that includes Morristown. It's a separate warning, and if you have the app, you can get to it really quickly, but that's where I'm going to head next. And I got Michael Hawk mentioning that, yes, this is the one he is referring to, that we just got a new tornado warning for Morristown until, he writes, until 10 o'clock tonight. So we're not out of the woods, folks. Now, if you're in Gatlinburg, there's nothing. Resist the temptation, because if you make that bold statement for you, it's not true for everybody else. It's one of those things that it's like everybody doesn't get the same weather. On a sunny day, yes, everybody gets sunny. But on a storm pattern like this, where you get scattered severe storms and tornadic activity, it could be the story of the haves and have-nots. It's just the way it goes. Peggy's on here. What about Granger and Hawkins County? Yeah, I'm going to do my best to do a little bit of zooming in here, Peggy, on some of the new tornado warning. Give me a second here to get onto that. But as we kind of take all this in, 9:45 was the time and is the time it expires for Knox County. Take note of these times. Things are improving for Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge is no longer under a tornado warning in Oak Ridge, but there's still some showers and storms here. Don't want to discount that. Where we're looking right now, 11E over toward Mascot, Carter, Caswell, some very intense rain. That's going on here. But I don't want to delay this any further. Let me go up toward north of Rutledge. Morristown, you're under a new tornado warning until 10 o'clock. So I'm going to grab my Captain Accurate weather app. Again, I'm just one guy looking at these maps with you, and just kind of want to give you some intel that might be of use to you this Thursday evening. It's 9:24, by the way. The tornado warning here came out at 9:15, and it does run to 10 o'clock precisely as Michael Hawk had noted. It's for southeastern Claiborne County. It includes Bean Station. It includes southwestern Hawkins, northeastern Granger, and central Hamlin County until 10. They have this producing a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So here's one of those things. It was near New Tazewell, or 8 miles northwest of Rutledge, and it was moving at 45 miles per hour. So if we put this warning over there, and we know from the intel that the Weather Service is giving us, and they're saying this is moving at 45 miles an hour to the east, I'm going to follow the contours of their flashing red box or flashing red polygon. And 45 would take me well off toward Greenville. In fact, right 45, we'll let go there. So the towns that could be impacted, and again, the wording here was very clear. They're saying what you do have is a severe thunderstorm. Now, is this severe thunderstorm going to be tornadic? They're simply saying it's capable. And because they're a little concerned, they want to be cautious. They're saying it's capable of producing a tornado near New Tazewell, and it has quarter-size hail. Flying debris will be dangerous, and the damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will likely occur. Tree damage is likely. They have it around Rutledge at 9:20. We've passed that time. Seems like it's still coming down toward Rutledge at this point. Their timing had it in Bean Station at 9:30. Bean Station 9:30 is certainly reachable, and it has Morristown around 9:35. So 10 more minutes, 9 more minutes to Morristown is a possibility. Somebody was asking about White Pine. White Pine, as you can see, is at the bottom of that polygon. Here's White Pine. Let me grab my orange Tennessee pencil over here, and I think, oops, there's White Pine over here. So White Pine is not, you're kind of squarely between the two tornado warnings. It's a blessing if you're a White Pine or Jefferson City, because right now these storms may pass to your north and south. But again, it's just the luck of the draw. It's kind of like when the waves crash at the beach, who gets wet? Well, it depends on how far inland you are, right? If you're near the shore, you're likely to get the splash zone is going to be bigger if you're near or inside that polygon. But Bean Station, Rutledge, Morristown under until 10 o'clock. Back to the Knoxville, because we have such a higher population in this area, I want to give its due. Holston Hills, Carter, Mascot, Asbury. We already talked about the Sun Sphere. If you go into Knoxville proper, I'm going to pull this out here, you can see it's really north of Mechanicsville right now as far as the intense rain. We're talking North Knoxville, Chehowee Hills, Park City, Brooks Avenue, Riverside Drive, Ramsey, Eastwood, Chehowee Hills, and Fountain City. All of these areas, Powell, are getting hit fairly hard with heavy rain. And if I were to overlay the lightning, you can see there's a lightning show going on as well. And it's producing, in some cases, more in the way of hail. We can see that here. Quite a bit of hail now from basically Caswell, Kings Valley, Fountain City, High School. These are the hot spots for hail.
And if you have a vehicle and you're in Riverdale, Carter, or Midway, you might want to get that car into the garage or into a carport, something that could protect it. Because, again, I know vehicles being what they are, you want to protect it if you can. But that seems to be, in the last 15 minutes, it's just been coming on strong, is the hail. Weather Service says quarter-size hail is certainly possible, and that seems like what we're getting at this particular time. I'm going to hit the now button here, and I want to check real quickly the accumulating rain situation. Yeah, it's picked up quite a bit. I'm just kind of curious about flooding potential. We have seen now over an inch in some spots north of Petros. Clinton's had about 3/4 of an inch of rain. Some areas have had more, some have had less. Anywhere from 3/4 to about 1.25 inches of rain in just 6 hours. So this is the heavy rain is probably another element that would not necessarily get the headlines, but that's where things are, and it can produce some beneficial rain. But sometimes when it comes down fast and furious, you get more runoff and you get less benefit from it when it runs off into the sewer drain. If you have a comment, let me know. I can tell you that Oak Ridge has improved as far as, because you're no longer under the tornado warning, but parts of Oak Ridge still getting hit with some heavy rain. Look from Oliver Springs, around Batley, and maybe over toward Edgemore, Bull Run. Once you get east of Bull Run, now you're into Powell, Fountain City. You're getting more in the way of heavy rains, thunder, hail, torrential rain, and there is the concern for rotation. I'm going to go back to the maybe a crowd favorite, the velocity. Some of these winds have been potentially very, very ferocious, 73 miles an hour. Knoxville downtown may be closer to 50. Now, that doesn't mean we're getting a 50. It just means that the computer and the radar suggesting if there's some momentum transfer down to the surface, that's what you're going to get. Carnes could have winds now over 63, 68 miles an hour. So clearly it's very noisy, and because it's not happening over the airport, people like to say nobody lives at the airport. People work at the airport, but it may not have the official record of that. But downtown, the impact could be substantial. That's why it's better to be safe than sorry. I got a 38 around Kodak and 32-mile-an-hour gusts potentially around Dumplin and Flat Gap. You got a comment? Love to hear from you as I'm looking at my comments once again. Diane Ladyhawk says it's just north of me. I'm in East Maryville. Good luck, everyone, in his path. Yeah, it's always nice to recognize that weather is different every day. Some people have worse go of it. Sometimes it makes news or national news when weather happens. But just be extra careful and be mindful, because tomorrow morning, if there's debris and you happen to work in a different town, like if you live in Maryville but you work in downtown Knoxville, there might be downed trees, right? There could be a loss of power. We're going to check the power outages, as I suspected there would be additional power outages once this system came into town. Debbie Long, Shrewsbury, asks, how is downtown now? I'm in the Food City Arena. Well, it's interesting because we still have 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes from Debbie's note. Did I get it on the screen? I read it, but I didn't. There she is. So she has her comment about downtown and Food City Arena. We got to give this another 14 minutes, Debbie, till 9:45 before we get another update. But I would be still cautious that we still have a lot of wind and a lot of rain still coming through the area, and it's just better to be safe than sorry. Like I said, it's 67-mile-an-hour winds, even if it's straight-line winds, can cause a lot of damage. It can take out power. It can cause a lot of heartache and headaches. Keep in mind, is the winds, I didn't really look up here, but it looked like maybe around Beech Grove. I see some bright green areas here. Let's see if I can suspect that. Oops, let me go back on this side. And if I were to grab up this little here, 67. So there's some strong winds too in this area just to the west of Beans and Bean Station, but maybe not as particularly as strong as the one that's in downtown, because those are turning white in many cases. Let me go ahead and clear this off. See there, and then yeah, all that white area, the white-green areas would suggest winds that are now 73, perhaps 54, or near Carnes 74. So there's still a lot of wind. The angry skies are producing some damaging wind at this particular time. We'll check the power outages, which I can do here. And yeah, we've got loss of power in Knox County. I want to go ahead and take the perspective here and turn off, if I can, the polygons themselves just for a moment, just to give us a sense of power outage. So we did lose power in parts of Cumberland County, but it seems like it's been restored. Jamestown, Fentress County's had about 200. about 800 loss of power in Putnam County. Some areas to the west, about 900, 600. Knoxville's got 300. So it's not as bad power outage-wise, at least not yet. But we'll see. Like I said, just because it shows up on the computer as a 70 or 80 mile an hour gust doesn't mean it necessarily reached the surface in the same manner that it could. It's the potential that has probably the Weather Service concerned for good reason. Putting the warnings back on, there are still some showers around Wartburg, but if you're in Wartburg, you got hit pretty hard earlier tonight, no doubt, and it's those areas in Morgan County. While you're still getting some rain, it's not going to be quite as impactful as what came through a little while ago. In fact, it would probably be interesting to see as we continue on this path. We're still looking until 9:45 for Knox County, Sevier County, this box, and then 10 o'clock for the Hamlin County and Granger County tornado warning. But if I were to rewind the tape, let's go back, let's scrub it about 3 hours. And say, why 3 hours? Because that takes us to the beginning of this event. And it would seem like rather benign. People at 6:33 were probably already home from work or maybe getting ready to prepare supper or for dinner. But if I move this over the next 3 hours, watch how this all progressed and how it just came about, right? So you had these tornado warnings, then all of a sudden a confirmed tornado. You had a severe thunderstorm watch develop in yellow across much of this East Tennessee. And we had this roll from basically Wartburg, Clinton, Knoxville, and now it's headed in the direction of Newport and Cosby. So where the future radar might have failed was the fact that it moved in maybe two spots. The one from Jellicoe now looks like it's now become confirmed. We have now a confirmed tornado warning in parts of Hamlin County. Let me get you the latest on that as we zoom in here. Looking at Beans and Beans Station. This is the area that the Weather Service is now noting we have a confirmation that this tornado warning is not just capable, it has been confirmed. And what I'm reading on this latest update says at 9:33, that was 60 seconds ago. How timely. They said a confirmed tornado is located near Bean Station. That's what I said, Bean Station. And it's 7 miles northeast of Rutledge, moving east at 30. The comment is the radar has confirmed the tornado. They probably have also other sources, namely, Morristown, of course, has got a Weather Service office there, but other Skywarn and trained spotters may have also given them confirmation. But they mentioned the damaging wind, the damaging tornado, the quarter-size hail, the flying debris, tree damage, roof damage, window damage, and vehicle damage all on the table. They said this tornado should be around Bean Station through in about 9:40. So it may already be there. All I can tell you is at this very moment, what I can see in terms of shear is there is some around Beans, right? If you zoom in, I'm more concerned with my rotation detector. It's turned strong in dark brown or burgundy. And if we do a little check over the last 15 minutes, did this get weaker or stronger? Looks like it's been coming in pretty strong. There was some yellow too. Let me stop that for a second. Was it yellow? Yeah, it was yellow. Just to the south of Beech Grove and west of Idle, this was extreme. So there has been an uptick, for lack of a better expression, right in here. See this right here? That's what I'm looking at. So between Beech Grove and Idle, the rotation detector suggests that there was a ramping up of possible rotating thunderstorm here. So this is another reason why you should be in your safe space if you're in the Bean Station area. Could be affecting Crosby here in the next few minutes, Wyatt Village, as well as Helton, Beans. These are the areas. And that was at 9:29. If I'm not mistaken, it's now 9:36. So this is now the current view, and you can see how far it's traveled, because now it's over here. And in that short span of time, it's traveled about 2.5, 3 miles in just the last few minutes. So this is a system that, much like all the others, they're dynamic, they're not going to be static, they're going to constantly be moving, and it's so important that you take it seriously and be prepared. Kodak is getting pounded with some heavy rain. We have the confirmation, the confirmed tornado for Hamlin County, could easily move into Greene County. Somebody was asking me about Greenville tonight. Eventually, it could trail into your direction. So Greene County, does it move mainly north of Greenville or south of Greenville? It looks like right now is headed in the direction of Greenville, but it might split northward. We'll see how that plays out. But Kodak, Sevierville, Dandridge now getting in on the heavier rains. And if we do a little shear check or rotation detector. Here we'll be able to see, I think, a little bit more clarity. Yeah, we've got a lot of strong areas here for a possible tornado from the Weather Service. This is the tornado warning for Sevier County until 9:45, which means 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes left, right? There's only 8 minutes left. They're going to have to do something. There's Smoky Stadium. I'm looking at Kodak here, but this is the Seven Islands area, the Union Valley area, where some of the strongest winds may in fact be taking place. So it's very important that you're ready for, be prepared for the unexpected, because that's what's pounding into Boyd's Creek. Right now, Boyd's Creek's got winds potentially around 64. Holy mackerel, 102. Do you see what I see? If that's the case, this is one of those things that you just don't want to underestimate Mother Nature. This would suggest, based on this pixel query, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing a little check around Union Valley. It's showing 102. Now, what if it's half right? What if it's 75% right? Well, we're between Boyd's Creek and Union Valley. You could be looking at winds that are at least 64, 60, 80, 85. If you split the difference, there's a lot of wind, right? And now it's moving, like just for a fleeting moment. But if your house happens to be under that fleeting moment, it's a game changer. It'll change your life. You're like, oh, it's displaced me, or my house is not livable. The roof gets ripped off. You name it. So all of this is on the table when we talk about tornado warning, and we usually go through a severe weather awareness week in the spring. We didn't get that. We didn't get that opportunity this year, right? We went from a snow event in January to now we got full-on, full-stop severe weather. It's like overnight. And then by the time we get to, say, Washington's birthday, it could be back to snow again. I mean, all of this is on the table. So if you think consistency is what weather's about, you haven't been to the beach lately. You haven't been to the ocean, because it goes in, it goes out. Waves crash in, they crash out. And in this part of the country, at least this winter so far, it's taught us that there's no consistency. At least right now, for the, what is the 6? For the next 10 or 11 days, it might be warm relative to averages, but eventually the cold, I think, will come back. It is scary when you see those types of wind speeds projected even on the modeling, but it's showing 72 here. Some of the white green, it's just a bright white, a greenish color. That's where the stronger winds may be. Could still be gusting in some parts, over 50 or 60 back north of Oak Ridge. Jefferson City, maybe not quite as much, but this is what has the Weather Service concerned. It has me concerned because I know human nature. Some people think, oh, it's no problem. I'm in Gatlinburg. There's nothing to worry. Probably not in Gatlinburg. Townsend might be fine. Happy Valley may still be happy in the morning because they didn't get anything. But if you're in Knoxville and you're dealing with this storm, that's a concern, especially if you have family that's on the roads, UT students. If you got a University of Tennessee student like I got, I hope she has enough sense, and I believe she is. She's a smart kid. She's probably figured this out, hopefully checking the app, maybe watching Facebook. But mom and dad have always, we try to instill, as you do your kiddos, that you want them to be cautious when severe weather strikes. Don't be brave and trying to or brazen and say, I can drive through it. Let it pass, right? So the warning, that is the tornado warning, that does impact Sevierville, runs till 9:45. We got 4 minutes left. This will be interesting. Does Del Rio get added into the fold? Because that's a decision the Weather Service is going to make next. Why did I pick Del Rio? Because it's downwind of this box. Hot Springs might be included too. So be on guard. Cosby, you're on the edge. I know you haven't had much yet. You're like, we've been under a warning for a long time in Cosby, but nothing so far, so it must not really be a problem. No, that's not the way to think it. I mean, if you're looking at the radar and the expectation was that this would come closer to 9:50, you still have a few more minutes to get prepared for the worst, but let's hope for the best. That's one thing that we can certainly do and do together during these live stream elements and live stream moments. I'm going to zoom back out just to get the bird's eye view. We have a severe thunderstorm warning till 9:45 for Claiborne County, a confirmed tornado warning in Hamlin County and Granger. We talked about Bean Station getting pounded. The areas that are getting pounded now would be Boyd's Creek and Kodak. Concerned about Boyd's Creek, and I'm concerned about Bean Station. Two different storms completely, but heavy rains, lightning, areas in these areas are getting pounded with quite a bit of rain and lightning at the same time. Let me go back to the shear here. Let me see if I can check in what our rotation detector would suggest. Also, when we can see a couplet where the green areas here, pull this to the side on there, when you typically see a little couplet there where you see the red, which is moving toward the radar, toward the Morristown radar. So if we were to do a little pencil, I'm going to pull out the orange pencil again. This is moving away from Morristown. This is moving toward Morristown. So the concern is that you're going to get this kind of rotating circular effect, and damage may occur if it in fact is a tornado. But as I've said before many times, it doesn't require a tornado, or you don't have to have a tornado to have damage. And whether it's damage from a tornado or straight line winds, there's still cleanup involved, and I don't think anybody wants cleanup. But when you've got crazy winds like we've been seeing from our sampling, because that's all I'm able to do here, when I see winds potentially popping up over 60, 65 miles per hour, I think we had something even higher there. Let me go back to that white area. Looked like it was 82. So when you've got winds around Boyd's Creek or Seymour around 53, this is of concern. And if there's winds that are affecting you, you need to take cover. Just get in your safe space. There is some improvement now for Fountain City, where we have some gusty winds that still remain, but no more a tornado warning in effect for Clinton. For Norris, things have improved for Karnes, despite the fact that there could be some winds over 40, 50, or 60. Cedar Bluff doesn't have that type of wind, but the way this thing changes, it can happen and change very quickly. They did just issue, just before the 9:45 time frame. Let me get a check on that. That's going to be Del Rio. Am I right? Did Del Rio get included? They sure did. Till 10:30. Oh my. So we have until 10:30 for Del Rio, Grassy Fork, and of course Parrottsville. Well, actually Parrottsville is on the doorstep. Newport squarely included. If the west side of Newport was, but the east side was not, now everybody in Newport is participating in the tornado warning as the Weather Service continues. And I'm going to change gears, go back to just the straight up radar so you can see where some of these returns are. But what has been added now would include Grassy Fork, Browns, Denton, and Blue Mill, just to name a few. So we've seen an extension of this. Looks like it's running the course. It's going to run the course of the entire field. This is a new warning. I believe we have a new warning now. 2 minutes ago. We have Southern Jefferson County. I have that. Southern Jefferson County, Cocke County, and Northern Sevier. Okay, so yeah, there's just, and they've just shrunken the box. So Knoxville, no longer in a tornado warning. So if you're in your safe space between Knoxville, Fountain City, you can come out. Mascot, you can come out with confidence that you're no longer under warning. But Dandridge and Kodak are still in it, as is Sevierville, although it looks like it's sailing north of Sevierville. Sevierville may actually dodge a bullet, much like Pigeon Forge dodged it a little bit, but you can see this runs till 10:30. They did note that this was moving at 45 miles per hour. Flying debris, mobile homes will be damaged, roofs, damage to roofs, damage to windows and vehicles will occur, and tree damage likely. They're putting it in Sevierville at 9:50, which is 4 minutes from now. So I know Sevierville is not just one location. You could be near Sevierville, but it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, it's closer to Catlettsburg and Alder Branch than it is Sevierville proper. But that's something to watch. And again, if this shifts a little bit, if it moves just a hair, it could have an impact on where you are, and we want to make sure that you're safe. 10:30 is when these times are now expected to expire. Let me go ahead and draw that time frame, and then we'll try and get back to the one that's in the Bean Station area. I didn't forget about you. Let me grab my tracker, little cone here, and we're going to move this at 45 miles per hour. They're placing this possible tornado just north of Sevierville. So that's where they think this could possibly be. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw this in here and then curl it around and just move it out down to 45 miles per hour. That takes you into North Carolina, no doubt. There it is. And you can see Alder Branch right now. That verifies. It's around Catlettsburg, 9:50. And it's also infecting Swan at 9:50. Should be around Union Hill at 9:53. Promised Land, 9:56. Reedtown, 9:57. And if you're in the Harrisburg area of Tennessee, 9:58. So you have just a few more minutes before things either get really loud, really noisy, or maybe if you're just south toward Pigeon Forge, it's a nothing burger. Some people might say it didn't affect me at all. Haley Roberts talking about how this was extended to 10:30. Yes, it was. Thank you for that update. I do appreciate that. It also helps me know that people are still watching. Otherwise, I would keep talking ad nauseum. I want to make sure that I'm addressing the areas that need the information. Karen Robbins says, praying for those east of us for their safety and property. Thank you, Karen. That does mean a lot. I got a note from Chris Lawson. He says, how is Louisville looking? I didn't know it had gotten this bad. You know, it's funny, Chris, not funny, haha, but funny, strange, that oftentimes when severe weather strikes, people say, oh, either a tornado situation, it sounded like a freight train, or I didn't know it was going to be this bad. These are the things, like I said, it's always a good idea, even though we didn't have the benefit of a declared, what do they call it, a severe weather awareness week. Weather Service does a great job as we transition from winter to spring to bring to the forefront what you have to do to be prepared for severe weather. Have a plan. Maybe have some extra bottles of water on hand, some snacks, you know, things. When you're displaced, when you lose property because the roof got ripped off or what have you, and you have to go someplace to live some else place, the common response is, I didn't know it could be this bad. It is bad in some cases tonight, unfortunately, but we'll know more when the light of day arrives. I got a note from Crystal. Crystal Fancher says, we're right on the Bean Station Morristown line. She wrote that 7 minutes ago. I hope and pray that you're okay as it's been rolling through at this time. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is now a severe thunderstorm warning around the Greenville area that wasn't there, and it's no longer red, it's yellow. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that's between Rogersville and Greenville. Rogersville is not included, but just north of Morristown, extending from Hamlin down toward Greene County, is a severe thunderstorm. So it was funny because when I started this Facebook Live and YouTube Live, I did look at the dew points, and they were in the upper 50s in Greenville. Perhaps it's weakening. You know, like I said, when they were bullish in the 60s for dew points, sometimes dew points can be a good forecasting tool to indicate how moist the atmosphere is, and maybe it could benefit Greene County to have storms, but not as strong as it is in some other parts. Jenny says hello. She says, how is the Strawberry Plains area? My friend is there and scared. I understand. It's better to be prepared than scared. I like to alert and not alarm people, because let's face it, there's a lot of alarming in this world other things, but because I'm convinced that every day is a gift, whether it's stormy like this or sunny and 70, what's the alternative, right? We have gifts that are given to us all the time, some gifts that we get at Christmas time or Hanukkah that we love or hate or not a big fan of. I look at every gift here. Every day that we have on this planet is a gift. And so most of the storms you can see in the Alder Branch area is headed toward Cosby. I've got Reedtown, Harrisburg, but the question I believe that was asked was Strawberry Plains. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to some areas, and I see it's still raining in Fountain City. It's still raining in Mascot, but the difference here, and there is a difference, as I pull out my Tennessee orange pencil, is that it's raining hard in these areas, but even Knoxville has heavy rain around 275 to Fountain City, but it's not severe. So that's the distinction. The winds have weakened a bit, and if you need evidence of how that looks graphically, you can see when I click the velocity that some of the winds that are here may be not as strong as they were a few moments ago. At least from the judgment call that the Weather Service has placed, they do not have Fountain City or Holston Hills under the tornado warning anymore. It does commence, though. It still picks up around Boyd's Creek, Sevierville, and Sandy Ridge, Berg Crossroads, Dandridge. But the question I had a moment ago was how does, we can look at Jefferson City, Newmarket, Strawberry Plains. There's Strawberry Plains. You got a lot of rain, but you're not, I repeat, not under a tornado warning in Strawberry Plains, if you were at all. But that's where things were. If we go back maybe just the last 2 hours and look at Strawberry Plains, were they even under a tornado warning? You'll click maybe briefly. Yes, they were. So the damage along 11E, we'll have to wait till tomorrow morning, but things are improving north of Strawberry Plains. So if there's a message that I would have for anyone in Strawberry Plains is that it will get better here in the next couple of minutes, maybe a half hour for you in Strawberry Plains. But we're still focused on the only tornado warning left, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning till 10:30 for Greene County, as well as Hamlin and as well as Hawkins. Hawkins County, I may not have talked much about, but you've been pounded by heavy rains and lightning and storms as well. You can see this lightning. I mean, this is like it's like just a parade of thunderstorms. The thunderbolts over the last, even the last 60 minutes. Let me put this in motion. See if this comes in. Yeah, it's just been coming down, just lighting up the sky. And this too will scare your dog, if it's like mine, under the bed, and perhaps even scare the cat. If you have animals that are sensitive to the weather, it's not just humans that get scared or have anxious thoughts. The cats and dogs can sometimes have their hearts racing as well. So reassuring them as I'm trying to reassure you, it will get better. I promise it will get better. We just have to get through these expected times that are on your screen. If I took it off, it's still 10:30 for the last of this. Most, if not all, of Knox County is outside of the warned area. Still got some thunder, still got some rain, but as far as Knoxville is concerned, there's no need to be in a safe space if you're in Knox County. It would appear it's still north of Sevierville, and I'm going to get an update here, and I mentioned up toward the north in Greenville, 10:30. So 10:30, 10:30. That's it. Yeah, everybody's on the same page. We got a severe thunderstorm warning in Greene County, Hamlin County, Hawkins till 10:30, and we have a tornado warning till 10:30. So that's the time that I'm probably going to sign off, is 10:30. I've had a long night, as you have, and I want, hopefully, if you're just joining us, you can watch the live stream later on and see where all this has gone. Power outages will be another thing to look at, I think, a little more closely here in the next few minutes. I'll make a point to go back and check that for everybody. And that's a feature that's now on the app. I'm proud to say it's on the app as well. Let's see if I have my, so I have this over here. Go back on. Yeah, I wanted to see. I'm still in the dark mode. Let me see if I have this over here. Yep. So even though I'm not all lit up, I am here. I have my tie on, but it's one of those things. So people are getting ready to go to sleep, so I thought kind of just set the mood. But now that we've had damage, it's not fun. Nobody likes to have damage, I can tell you that, and I certainly don't like having to report on it because it is just a sad part of life that we get these storms and they can cause property damage as well. But the tornado warning that came out at 9:43 for South Jefferson, Cocke County, and Northern Sevier runs till 10:30. They have this thing moving east at 45. Quarter-size hail, tornado possible. They did the language is a severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado. Some of these have been confirmed where we had some flashing purple boxes, some flashing purple polygons. That's where we had confirmed tornadoes tonight, and we'll get more of a report, a very detailed report in time from the local National Weather Service office. They work very hard, so if you happen to know them, you see them in church or see them at Costco or someplace, be sure to appreciate your National Weather Service folks, because they work tirelessly and they do oftentimes rotating shifts. It's not easy being them either. But I will say they will be on boots on the ground most likely tomorrow, and I will post their findings on my Facebook page and social media so that you get some information on what was actually assessed, because that's part of the mystery is knowing when did the tornado touch down, when did it go back up. Sometimes they dance and come back down, then they go back up. Some of you got all excited as I did when the sequel to Twister came out last summer, Twisters, and some people get all excited when tornadoes are in the discussion. But when they actually affect your house, some of that excitement can dissipate. You're like, yeah, I'd rather have a snowstorm than this. I'd rather be buried in snow than have a tornado hunker down on me. Many people feel that way, but it is what it is. It's what we were dealt this night for sure. Okay, so as I look at this, Southern Jefferson, Cocke, and Northern Sevier, they're running east at 45 miles per hour. And since they put this near Sevierville, I'm going to assume on the times here, as I grab my little box here, I'm going to grab this right in here. Let's put this in this little box, little nugget here, this little notch, and move this out to 45, like so. There it is. And we have new times. And since this covers North Carolina, I'm going to put it over North Carolina so you can see East Tennessee a little bit better. Where do we go? We go to Crockettsville at 10:11, Paget Mill 10:14, Allen Grove at 10:15, and Licklog. Now that's a new one on me. I've been here 15 years. I am not familiar with Licklog, but there it is. It's Cocke County, my friend. Licklog, if you are in Licklog, you want to be in your safe space at 10:17. Jones Cove, now that I've heard of, is at 10:17. And Finney Patch, I've heard of that, 10:18. But I have not been to Lick Log. But Newport, Del Rio, Blue Mill, all of us need to be in a safe space till this passes. And again, this runs till 10:30. If I'm not mistaken, we're coming up very close to 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. And as we do so, I hope that you will take the necessary precautions to stay safe. Further north, as I'm looking, we've got another storm here, and I believe it's also 45. I'm talking about the severe thunderstorm that's near Bulls Gap. Let's see here, the times on this one. They have this. This includes Interstate 81 in Tennessee between mile markers 16 and 35. So if you're a truck driver and you know the mile markers, or even if just a motorist, a car driver, truck driver, mile markers 16 to 35 is under the severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning includes southwestern Hawkins, central Greene, and northeastern Hamilton County till 10:30. This one was moving east at 50. So if I were to take this box off, and hopefully you've seen those times, I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and we'll move this one to a similar fashion. We'll just kind of cool this in like so around Bulls Gap and move it down 50, which would take us, well into North Carolina. But that would put it into, it's around Pilot Knob right now, Woodlawn at 10 o'clock, Kennytown, 10:02. Now, this is not one of those situations that you have to get into your interior room of your basement, but I see a new one that just popped up in the Tri-Cities area, which I don't cover as much. It's outside of the Knoxville area, but there is a new tornado warning flashing between Kingsport, Bluff City, and Elizabethton. So it's not, we're not out of the woods clearly in some parts of Tennessee, and we still have the one that's approaching areas toward Newport and headed toward North Carolina. It is now 9:59. I'm kind of curious. I want to turn it back over to you because I know that you have either observations, maybe you have nothing to report and say, "Oh, this was for nothing. I got a nothing burger tonight," and that's okay. I mean, I'd rather you be safe, but because some of those of you may have gotten damage worse than you thought. I think somebody had commented on that. But what I'm seeing, if I go back to the Kingsport area, I just want to do that on my phone. Yeah, their tornado warning runs till 10:45. So what you see flashing under my Marco's Pizza logo, thank you, Marco's, what's flashing under there is a new tornado warning. It was issued at 9:57 and it runs till 10:45. It was near Colonial Heights or Kingsport, moving east at 50. So Bluff City and some areas that they expected to be Bristol at 10:10, and also affecting Elizabethton about 10:20 as well. So those are some of the Tri-Cities areas that need to be mindful as well. Let me get back to you because I know that you have some thoughts, maybe some comments, and if there are no comments, I will sign off here in the next few minutes. I won't necessarily feel, now that it's 10 o'clock, feel like I need to stay the distance till 10:30, but that's when that will be expiring. Got Mabel on here. Mabel says, thank you for keeping us informed. She says, as a mama who lives out of town with a college kid in Knox, it's nice to be able to know where the weather is bad. Well, thank you, Mabel. I appreciate you. Yeah, I have a, if I could say, I have a junior at the University of Tennessee, and she's smart as a tack. She's smarter than me, but I hope that she's been safe in downtown Knoxville. And if she's listening, I love you, Natalie. I hope you're okay. All right, so Marilyn Bell says, Melissa, you should be okay. There was a question about that. Cody is on here. She says, how do you think Blount County is for the night? You may be, this is the worst of it, folks. It's all moving out. So if you're west of Jefferson City, let's say, if you're west of Kodak, even though it's still raining, if you're west of Kodak, west of Jeff City, you should be fine. The only concern now, because again, once these storms have moved in, it kind of stabilizes the atmosphere. When I say stable, I'm talking about like if I were to describe, how do I describe this? If I were to describe, it's what's stable and what's unstable. If you have a three-legged stool, right, or 3 legs on a chair, and you sit down on it and then you fall, it's unstable. But once the chair's fallen over, it's not going to fall over again. So that's why I say a lot of these communities are going to be fine for now, but we still have a little bit of rain still going on, and that's what I'm seeing on these maps. And I have some of the comments that were coming in still popping up on the screen. But appreciate your patience. Again, the spacing of this, being able to see everybody's town at the same time is a little hard to do, but we're getting close. It's now 10:02, 28 minutes left, The one that's in the severe thunderstorm that's affecting Greenville, or soon to be, is in effect until 10:30 as well. So two warnings. One's a severe thunderstorm warning, one's a tornado warning. They last until 10:30. You've got 28 minutes left. And sadly, there is a brand new tornado warning for our friends and neighbors, because they are our neighbors, even though they're not Knoxville proper. The Tri-Cities. I'm talking about the tornado warning that's newly issued. That goes till 10:45. So prayers for them, and I know that they're covered in many cases by local media there, so I'm not going to spend too much time in the Tri-Cities, but I do acknowledge that that's still going on as well. So when we look at this parade of storms, we go back just over the last, I'm going to go back 2 hours. 2 hours is good. And we're going to take the sweep off just for a second, just so you can see how much has changed over the last few minutes. And I'm going to get this box over here. So these little boxes, the purple ones, are the most concerning because they refer to as confirmed. So when sometimes they'll issue a tornado warning that's capable of a tornado, but then they get overlaid by the purple, and that's the confirmed tornado. So we had a confirmed tornado around the Wartburg area, and we also had a confirmed tornado just north of Rutledge, it appears. So there's going to be probably at least two that the Weather Service, and it could be like the same one that dropped down, went back up, dropped down, went back up type of thing, because of these environments have been just amazing, last I checked anyway. And certainly the temperatures, because they were so warm today, added to the fuel of this. Now it's funny too, not funny, haha, but strange that they've now erased. Do I see that right? Yeah, they did. Look at the yellow counties, the severe thunderstorm watch, which means the conditions are favorable. They have now erased it from a few locations. Let's see if I get the time on it. Let me rewind. I'm doing like the scrub on my slider bar. Let's move it back. Yep, there it is. So at 9:52, Scott County and Campbell County were under what they call a severe thunderstorm watch, right? Scott County. But watch how this, a few minutes later, they just said, nah, that's overkill. Let's go ahead and, yep, they went away. So Harriman, Wartburg, La Follette, Oneida, you're no longer under a severe thunderstorm watch. It's still in Knoxville. They're not ruling it out that something there in the rain category of Knox County could go back to strong. But typically, I think now that the rain's moved through, the atmosphere is a little more stable than it was just an hour or so ago. And that's, of course, good news for us because we don't want to have any more damage than we've already sustained. And right now, the 10:30 tornado warning, which will be gone, hopefully at the bottom of the hour. It's now 10:05. So we have 25 minutes to everybody hopefully can breathe a sigh of relief. It'll last 15 minutes longer for our friends in the Tri-Cities. Now, as far as power outages, this is what I think may catch up with us eventually, is the county, yeah, oh my, there's quite a few now. And if I put the little eyedropper, a little query there, it says 800 in Morgan County, 800 people without power, 200 in Fentress, 600 here, Cookeville, Putnam County, 800. Knox County's got 1,500 people now clearly without power. I think what's happening in Sevier County is just beginning. 100 may be what you have now, but that's likely to grow because we still have Cott County now. But this is as of 10 o'clock, top of the hour. Rutledge, Granger County, 400, and about 100 in Claiborne County without power. Asheville, also about 100. But is it any wonder we have more people here? This is more population dense. There's a bigger population in Knox County, but when you have that many people put together in the county, you could have more power outages. So we have 1,500, even though some of these hit maybe more rural areas in Fentress and Morgan counties potentially. It's just a theory, but we have a heavier population in Knox County, so it might be why that's what we have in terms of outages. Let's go back to the radar. It's not 10:06. If you have lost power, maybe you're watching from your phone, leave me a comment. Yep, I can see quite a bit of lightning. We got a lot of that, and they're totaling now over 4,600. I know it was higher. Just in the last hour. If you focus on the lightning box, was it 5,000 at one time? Yeah, it was over 5,000. Almost 5,100 for a while, which is a lot of lightning. And that can also be a good indicator that storms are getting stronger or weaker, like the crashing waves at the beach, at the ocean. But 4,600 now as we look at this in pseudo real time. There's always a delay with some of the data, but I will say that many of you have been dealing with lightning most of the night. Others, like maybe in Maryville, said, I haven't had nothing. Or Loudon Loudoun County may not have had much to report in terms of severe storms. Now, they did issue a brand new aerial flood advisory for Knox that will last until 1:15. You can think of the aerial flood advisory as step one. If things get worse, and it could continue to rain in some parts, they could, I say the Weather Service could elevate that to the next step, which would be what? What do you think would come after a flood advisory? Yeah, maybe a flash flood warning. That would be the next step. And they typically show up as burgundy on your phone, whereas the tornado warnings show up as red. So just to be clear, flashing red, that would be tornado. But a flashing burgundy typically is the flash flood warning. They're pretty close, and if you're color challenged, then sometimes it's better to just click on it to be sure. But right now it's just a flood advisory, and the verbiage or the description of that I can read to you, because I know that also would be included on the phone and on the Captain Accurate Weather app with Pete Michaels Traffic. Pete Michaels is awesome, and I hope that you download the app for that reason. And then the flood advisory caused by excessive rainfall is in effect till 1:15. It's kind of curious. They must have some hydrologists, of course they do, to assess. It should expire at 1:15, not 1:30. 1 o'clock? No, 1:15 is when it's going to expire. And it is a portion of East Tennessee that includes Anderson, Jefferson, Knox, and Sevier County. And they're describing the impacts as minor flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas. I think many of us know maybe a part in your community, a part in your town or neighborhood that where water doesn't drain all that well. So if you're in those low-lying, poor drainage areas, minor flooding is expected till 1:15. So we'll see if that gets elevated. And if it does, then that's when you need to seek higher ground, as if we need another challenge tonight. That's not what I'm hoping for, but I'm just letting you know that that's on the table, is the flood advisory till 1:15. If you have another comment, I may be signing off here, but I'm very thankful that you've stuck with me. I think I'm going to be surprised how long I've been talking and doing it without even as so much as a glass of water, which will probably be what I first do as soon as I sign off. Checking in with the comments, Allison says, are the storms past? Where is she? She's in Sneedville. Okay, up in Hancock County. Home of Morgan Wallen, country music star Morgan Wallen, as if he needs an introduction, which he does not. It looks like things have vastly improved. There are still some scattered showers, Allison, between Sneedville and Kyles Ford. But yeah, things are looking much, much better in Sneedville. Gail is on here. She has a comment. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Very thankful that you're here. And who else is on here? Greg LaRouche says, thank you for the coverage, David. My pleasure. Greg has been a longtime supporter and premium member. I really appreciate him. I appreciate everybody. Whether you're premium or not, you are special to me because, again, doing this and this platform, it takes a lot of energy and it takes long hours. But I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. And weather is obviously a passion for me. Terry says, downtown Sevierville downtown Sevier did get the tornado sirens. So they gave you the sirens. You got the tornado siren treatment. And it's interesting because I got the same reply or comment, Terry, from Cray Slavin in Cookeville. He mentioned that the tornado sirens went off in Putnam County. That was several hours ago. And now, amazingly, the same system that you could connect the dots, you could draw a reference to, that if you connected the dots, you would have the same system now go from Putnam County to Sevier County. But I'm glad you shared that with me. And Karen Robbins, noting here with her beautiful kitty cat, says, thank you for reassuring us, David. We appreciate you keeping us informed. And the other question I had was from Alexandria Long. She said, when this moves out, does it take the threat of severe weather with it? Yes, that's the beautiful thing about stability. Once you have an unstable atmosphere, and warming up to 70 didn't help. Sure, I'm sure it made Team Spring thrilled. Like people are, woohoo, it's February 6th and it's 70. Yeah, that should be concerning. Yeah, that should be a little bit concerning. But that also allowed, with the other factors involved, with the fronts, because we have this series of warm fronts, cold fronts coming in and out over the next few days, it's going to spawn or initiate additional showers and storms. Some may not be that strong in the future. Saturday night will be interesting because we'll be in the mid-70s, I think, Saturday night, and then it gets cooler once the storms come through. So we'll see. It's not all cut and dry, and it's a fool's game to suggest that one size fits all. When I say fool's game, I remember hearing a good friend at the National Weather Service in Morristown say that you can't always assume when nasty storms hit the plateau, people, well, it hits the plateau and it always weakens when it gets to Knoxville. Well, no, it doesn't. Not tonight it didn't. Not tonight it did. You cannot, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not I have this rule of thumb, lightning never strikes twice. Yes, it does. It hits the Empire State Building 100 times or more a year. Oh, well, lightning never strikes twice somewhere else. It's just, we hear these things get perpetuated and people assume it's gospel. It's not. Lightning never strikes twice. It does on tall buildings. And the idea that we have learned, as many of you have learned if you lived here, you think that if you get a strong storm in Crossville, it'll weaken by the time it gets to Clinton or Knoxville. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. And tonight was a definite no, because what I'm looking at, perhaps what you're looking at, and I've actually got the wrong polygon there, it's the tornado warning. It went from the plateau all the way to Cocke County. That's like running the gamut. It ran the distance and held together pretty darn well over that period of time. That's what's amazing. Amazing indeed. By the way, it's 10:13. Maybe I will sign off at 10:15. I think you guys got this covered. But before I go, we mentioned the flood advisory. What's most important is that anybody within the sound of my voice that's in the Edwina, if I said that right, Finney Patch, Allen Grove area, you're still under, and Del Rio, mainly south of you, you're still under a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes. And if we look at your winds, and you have them, I do know that. Let's check in. I don't want to leave you out. Some of those winds over the last few minutes may have been a little bit stronger, but you are getting a lot more in the way. You are getting far greater in terms of the rainfall. The heavier rains there could be hail markers. Let me see if we have that. Oh, yes. Yes. What do we have in here? I would say possible, maybe probable, that you're getting some hail damage in the Finney Patch area, and it's working its way down toward Grassy Fork. So if you have a car, you have a truck, you have something that, I don't want any hail damage. I wouldn't wish hail damage on anybody. So I'm here to tell you, if you're within the sound of my voice and you're around Grassy Fork or Bluffton, yeah, pull the car in. It would probably be smart, if you can, without too much fanfare or without putting yourself in harm's way. Because these storms are producing some wind. They're producing quite a bit of lightning as well. But they are also producing hail about the size of a George Washington quarter. And where you see purple, it's very likely or possible that it's happening at this very moment. And the volume, when I talked about earlier about the decibels, like your stereo when you were a kid, the decibels are very, very loud. As we turn this off, I want to show you where you see black. It's like 64. I know if I could turn my stereo as a teenager up to 10, I could blast out the woofers. Everything would just, the whole house would shake. But the radar, in many respects, like volume, that's what DBZ is, stands for decibels. It's very loud, and the storms are making a lot of noise. Sometimes it could be hail contamination, but in this case, it could just be torrential rain and hail in some parts, because the hail is certainly showing up, and that is why it's probably turning purple for you. And did I see this right? Yeah, it's still in effect for another 15 more minutes, but I want to thank all of you. Please stay safe. I got to get some sleep. I'm going to be up and doing a live stream at 6:40 in the morning to recap what we've learned, and if we get some new reports from the Weather Service, then I'll do my best to pass that along. But thank you so much for your time. We'll see you here tomorrow morning. Please be safe, and in the meantime, check on your neighbors too. If you can call them, or if you have power, make sure everybody is cared for. Well, my name is David Aldrich, in the dark on night mode. We'll see you here next time. Take care.